Right.
Hangout, you can do all kinds of things with that.
But
What CW's been doing is just through the Google Hangouts
Which is
application.
what I'm doing right now.
OBS takes a lot of it really slows it down, I think, because it puts out a higher quality or picture or something.
Yeah, if you're using I don't know if OBS allows you to. I use a different thing called.
Oh, you can do all kind. Yeah, I don't really know how to use it that well yet. I mean,
It's not hard.
I'm a mystic, not a geek.
I can help you if you want
like a lower resolution.
Yeah, I'm going to have to work on that. Oh, what happened to Jerry?
That is weird. I'm fortunate to have a really good internet connection, so I can kind of get by with a lot.
Yeah, that's where I kind of fail. I have my internet connection is only 3 megabytes download and like less than a megabyte upload.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking how much do you have to pay for that?
Well, my roommate and I share the bill, so it kind of it covers his TV, but the bulk of the price is really internet. I think we pay $80 a month for TV and internet.
Okay, yeah, that's expensive for what you're getting.
I know.
I pay $166 a month. I don't even have my cable box connected. I should probably cancel it. But I have 105 megabit.
Wow, I love that.
See, I pay 175 and I have gigabit.
Yeah, that's worth it too.
Yeah.
But it's just because I called and fought with them. I tried to cancel the cable and the telephone, and boy, they were willing to deal when I tried that.
Oh yeah, you can get out, but you can never leave. You're welcome anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah, you can never get out of that bundled deal.
Hotel Comcast.
Once they put that funnel onto you, man, they will do anything to not have it removed.
I know they will. They literally anything. I mean, you can get like 6 months free service. I'm not kidding. I mean, if you have been a longtime customer of everything,
oh, right,
you can totally go to like the customer. They call it a customer retention department, and just complain and say, "Look, I can't take it," and be really wishy-washy and go back and forth. If you drag it out long enough, they will give you whatever you want to stay.
Right.
A free channel for 6 months, free HBO, whatever.
I need to do the same song and dance with AT&T.
I was going to say cell phone companies are even worse. I've been with T-Mobile for maybe 17 years now. If I even have one problem, I just say I'm leaving, and they put me on the phone with someone who talks me out of it and gives me free shit. So the key, I learned this long ago, that the key to getting free shit is to complain.
Right.
It's just that simple.
That's what the women did.
Well, it starts to cost them. They have to pay that person you're on the phone with so much that, it starts to add up.
I know, but I'm not going to be able to fix the system myself, so I might as well take advantage of it.
Right. Right.
That's why I started learning magic. I'm not going to be able to fight it unless I understand it.
And and really it's really unpleasant because you don't want to be deceptive and manipulative.
No.
But you can't get anywhere with them being honest. They're exploiting. Once again, this is an exploitation of the greatness that we really are without that mind virus. And we instinctively want to be good people. We want to be honest. We don't want to hide behind lies because it's a dirty feeling. But when you're in a battle, and they actually have swords and shields, you better not go in barehanded.
I agree, and I would say I don't really consider it, me lying to a person, or I'm not intentionally harming another individual. It's a system that I'm utilizing in a different manner.
It's an AI, ultimately. Unfortunately.
Well, I didn't want to say that out loud, but yeah, it's a fucking AI, and I'm tricking it, and that's not a lie.
Right.
All hail Watson.
And that's what happens, because they've created a system of scarcity, that people will sell themselves to this AI for a position. And that's, and we all know that scarcity is managed.
But YouTube
absolutely.
Money itself is kind of like, that ties into that kind of.
There's only one value on this planet, and that's us. It's our creativity, our labor, our ability to do things. That's why they invented money, because they needed us. They tricked us because we're the value. So they created scarcity and invented this thing so they could get the only value on the planet. I mean, really, if they had a choice between a room full of gold and having to clean their own toilet, you know what I mean? Like, in other words, the only reason they have gold is to buy us. And the only reason they can buy us is because we have been corralled, and then we've kind of got sucked into a system.
So let me ask, you don't believe that there will ever be like a situation where there's no jobs for anyone? Everything's been moved on to like complete modernization, complete roboticization.
Where's the profit in that?
And also jobs. I mean, jobs.
But you know,
jobs are an archontic construct. I mean, you either have something to do or you don't. You're in the, see, that's what it is. We don't live in our communities anymore, and find what it is that's sustainable and put all of our labor into sustaining ourselves in our system. What we're doing now is sustaining ourselves in their system. That's how I see it.
Yes, and what I just wanted to add to that was the majority, almost all of the consumerism, manufacturing, and the jobs and everything that was created to support our consumerism, which is the virus in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all those jobs were created to support that. Right, exactly. Well, to support the system. Jobs are to support the system, and the system itself is the bad thing. So, I mean, I forgot what the hell my point was on that.
Well, even part of the mind virus is like, you know, CEOs trying to justify their salaries when, you know, the people who actually do it, they go, well, if I hadn't conceived it, it says if you weren't in a system that didn't just let us set out and do whatever the fuck we wanted, we wouldn't need you.
If you make that much money, I've been in a .com. I was a co-founder of a .com that I sold. I totally got screwed. But even so, if I'd made out, if I was in PayPal saying I sold out, I would feel bad making that much money as a CEO versus people who weren't making it. You know, I would never take that much money. So that I just can't imagine it.
Yeah, they're not sharing. That's the whole thing. This big pot of money comes in. They go, this much for me, and I guess I got to give you this, or you won't work for me.
That they'll never ever be able to spend. And then the ones, I think also it could be, there could be more to it too. When you have that much money, it could affect you mentally. It could be.
You're already infected. You wouldn't want that. You couldn't be comfortable like that, doing that if you weren't already infected.
I'll give you that. True. But what I was saying was that maybe when you get like, okay, let's look at Bill Gates, who was, he wasn't poor, but he wasn't super rich, right? And he's now $750 billion billionaire. And you know, the head of possibly a major eugenics program. So, you know, when did that turn evil? Was it, you know, did it come? Here's another question I would love to explore: is did it come through the technology? Did it come through the digital electronics? Is this some, you know, I know it's been here for a while. I wasn't arguing that, but I mean, have we opened even further? Have we widened the bandwidth in which it can travel through here?
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. Because we're the carriers. We are the infection.
We're the batteries too.
Oh yeah. Well, they infected the batteries.
So there's a lot of people on YouTube talking about this. Which ones do you follow before I go out into crazy town?
Which subject do you want to ask? Are you asking?
As far as being an AI construct and the plasma AI, like there's like the Patty Broussard talks about it.
I don't make much of it. I mean, I don't get too much of it. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't matter about the AI or not. The controlling thing about it, to me, the reason why I'm identifying as AI is how plotting it is.
Mm-hmm. How predictable it is.
Yeah, how uncreative. It's that lack of creativity that lets me know it's not human based.
Like the third reboot of Spider-Man?
Haven't seen it.
No, just the point that they're making one.
Oh, okay.
A third remake of a remake. You know, there's nothing original coming out of Hollywood. There's no original ideas anywhere. It's either slasher movies or a remake. Or comic books. That's the other thing too. And
what are superheroes other than reenactments of the demigods?
That's all they are.
It's mythology.
It is mythology.
But it's the newer parasitic mythology in a way, but, you know, where humans need them. Like, you know, we're fucked without our demigods.
Yes, that's kind of the point I was making before, that I always felt that faith was the weakness that allowed it in. That if you know, when people tell you, oh, I have no control over it's God's will or this kind of stuff, that right there is like, that's a hook that they can just jump right in. That is my asshole. That is the Stargate for them. That was a carryover joke from the other Hangout.
Yeah. I actually do not follow, to me, a lot of the stuff that I do not find of utility in moving forward. Like once you say there's an AI, fine. So you kind of know its signature, but what do we do? Once again, what are we doing? I mean, and once we get really in our game, the AI will start smoking. I mean, right now it's barely keeping up with us in our infected, like kind of sheeple state. When we start really connecting, it'll blow up.
I disagree with that. I think it knows exactly what's going on. A lot of people, it's predicted behavior of almost everyone.
It can't.
How do you know?
Because it can't. Our vagaries of the fact that we can go from blue pill to red pill overnight is not something that it really can deal with any kind of real fleet, any kind of grace and
I agree. But I think that what you just described is a biological change. That's not a decisions that one makes.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is there's computers already that aren't part of it. I mean, you can design a program right now that can track someone and predict what they're going to do, like down to where 85%. They're going. I mean, I used to discover spyware on my computer 15 years ago that was basically tracking software that was trying to decide whatever I was doing, where I was going. It was like ideogram based.
So we'll agree there's an AI watching us and herding the sheep. Was that acting as a shepherd overall? See, this is another thing I have a problem with, is that this thing exists outside of time, outside of our timeline.
I don't know about that. Why does it exist outside the timeline?
Well, see, this is where I think where we get confusion. I think there is an actual computer-based AI that people are using on this planet. Matter of fact, Gilad Atzmon had said that the Hillary Clinton campaign had an AI called Ada, and Ada kept on telling them Hillary's going to win, Hillary's going to win.
There are multiple AIs on the planet.
Yeah.
One is called Lilu.
Watson.
Watson's not really autonomous. There's allegedly one that runs Wall Street, runs the stock exchange. That's really? What it manages all the program trading, or a lot of the program trading. Yeah. There's
like
one
on the high frequency stuff, or
yep, just to keep a track of everything. There's allegedly a huge quantum computer AI in Utah in some NSA hole that basically every tier 1 internet provider tube goes through. So every bit that get transfers across the tier 1 providers is captured by this thing.
Good God.
To me, we have to make a difference between what we're using right now. We're using initials. We're saying AI. So to me, there's kind of like a software or computer-based artificial intelligence.
Inorganic.
And then there's the both alien intelligence. That's the other AI.
I call that the OI, the other AI, to make extinct. I'm sorry.
But that's what they're referring to.
When I've distinguished with the group of people that I speak to, we distinguish it as the organic and inorganic intelligence.
Very good term.
So, yeah, because AI is just too ubiquitous as a term.
Right.
It can mean anything. So yeah, inorganic and organic intelligence.
The new age has to know the terms they're using. And again, people start, I mean, when you hear Michael Tellinger, at least a couple of years ago, I remember him starting off, he goes, oh, I want to say, I want to acknowledge Archangel Michael and Metatron and, Ramtha, but, I mean.
All AI beings.
I mean, AI. Oh, man, yeah.
Those are part. See, now this is another narrative. I don't know how true it is. I assume it is. That there's an artificial intelligence system that is basically the Galactic Federation of Light. So all the beings that are associated with that, the Ascended Masters, Saint Germain, yada yada yada, all these things are just basically either thought forms or that are controlled by the AI or AI generated astral entities.
I would like to discuss an aspect of the Sophianic cosmology that it's a major aha came to me like just before I took a nap today.
Okay.
And it had to do with the fact that within the Gnostic mythos, the funny thing is how similar the Tolkien Silmarillion cosmology and the Gnostic cosmology are, if you can see the similarities. But anyway.
I've actually been told by a couple people, like one person in particular who was allegedly in the secret space program, that Tolkien's model was accurate.
So the interesting thing is in Tolkien's model, there, once they got rid of the two standing lamps, basically we were the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. There were no other planets. In the Sophianic narrative, they say there was the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun, and that the other planets are part of Yaldabaoth. And I was always saying, and then I said, I get it. What it is they're, again, they align, they're even named after the beings that they kind of correspond with, and they needed to have spheres in our solar system that could allow them to ground into our system and influence it from the other dimensions. Like, in other words, these were almost like sending stations.
Now, is there significance to like
Stargates,
Jupiter and Saturn protecting us from like foreign objects?
Jupiter,
as they do?
I mean, it's something. Since they're there, I feel that the Sun and Sophia have conspired to make Jupiter do something useful.
Well, I mean, it catches like rogue objects that come into our solar system. If Jupiter wasn't there, we'd be dead.
Allegedly.
Right.
That's what we're told.
Right.
I do not believe that there are planets out there. Those are lights in the sky, nothing more.
I mean, have you looked at them through a good telescope?
Yes, I have. It's a prettier light in the sky. The only thing I could see clearly in the telescope is the sun. Or I'm sorry, the moon.
Been on a very high altitude flight?
Yes. Well, how high? Like 100,000 feet? No.
Yeah.
And then another Tolkien thing I had, because some people have talked about Saturn being Lord of the Rings, which kind of screws up, but I'm going to say a little bit. But like, if you look at the 9 planets, and then you have the 9 Nazgul, and even though the Earth is naturally not part of the 9, but currently is possessed by the energy because of our the billions of people with the mind virus, we kind of fell in. It's almost like right now the 9 planets, because the system has been parasitized, are almost like under the thrall of the Dark Lord. I mean,
the Nazgul. What about think about the Council of 9 is what you made me think of.
Well, that I know. I've only recently heard that, and again, we're seeing like these patterns of archontism. Yeah,
here's a pattern though. What about 7s? There's a lot of patterns of 7s of things. Groups of 7 this, 7 that. I think you might be onto something with the number pattern, that those might identify the groups in some manner. Because I don't think it's just one group that's controlling things, other than like whatever's outside that we can't perceive, like this AI archontic, Yabba Dabba Do, whatever his name is. You know what I'm saying, right?
I think Yaldi.
But isn't it more influencing? Yaldabaoth.
I like to call him Yaldi for short.
If let's just say that's one thing that's controlling us, I have a problem with that, because that's almost monotheism in a way.
Well, that's like how it's controlling us, through monotheism.
Right. There's a false god and there's a false devil, basically. They're the same thing. It's just two sides of one coin.
Right.
It's like this was one of the stories I heard when I was researching this stuff with abduct experiencers. I'm sorry. That I've heard this over and over again, that they'll have a sleep paralysis episode where they wake up and there's a demon who's breathing on them or doing something or on top of them, and then they cry out for Jesus, and an angel of light appears and slays the demon and saves them, right? Well, I really think it's the same thing. It's one thing playing two sides to get both sides of the energy. If it's truly an energy vampire type of being, why not play both sides and get all that energy? Why let the good white light go to waste?
Right.
That's always the way I've seen it. So
I personally have a lot of experience with sleep paralysis, and there is a pressure on the chest that's like calming them.
I wasn't saying it was not real in any way.
Yeah, I
was
tried it
not
twice.
not discounting it or saying it doesn't exist. I totally understand how it exists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know I take a pill called that's a blood pressure pill, right? And what it does is stops, the moment when you have either like a really bad nightmare or you have sleep paralysis. There's a moment where you actually panic and you wake up, and usually you wake up like in like this
Because you have
cardiovascular
adrenaline in your system.
response, right? All this blood pressure pill does is stops that single response. I'm still having the dream. Whatever that is, I just don't remember it. At least that's the way it's explained to me. All that it's stopping is that one moment that wakes me up and allows me to remember everything.
I mean, we have.
I really want to know what that dream is.
Man, I don't know. I hate it though.
But it could be something really prophetic.
It very well could be. For me, it's like
you could save us all.
It's like I'm looking through my eyes, like I'm looking at my room, I'm looking at my wall, but I always know it's a dream because something's off, something small, like a picture on the wall or something.
I used to have tons of dreams about being on spaceships and buildings that were really spaceships and alien invasions and flying around in blue bubbles. And that all stopped about 3 years ago. And now it's all like going to work and coming home and watching TV. It's like my old life is my dreams though. It's really weird.
Come
weird.
Back to the dark side, Jerry.
Now, what were you doing before?
Before what? Before I went to sleep?
No, I mean like when you're having the other dreams.
Oh, secret agent shit. Like in hotels, putting bombs in places. I mean, it was like I was some kind of... If it were actually possible to do like secret space stuff where they do that stuff to people in MKM, I would say that's what I was doing.
That's cool.
But I have no recollection of it. I don't claim to be one. But I certainly had dreams that seemed like it. No, not psychological reasons.
That's interesting. So
yeah, I don't take any SSRIs or anything.
Yeah, you don't seem like you do. You don't have the telltale blown up pupils. Yep, perfectly normal.
Cool. Where did you go?
Radagast.
What is his real name?
Radagast?
I can't call someone a name with bird shit all over him.
We can just call him the Brown.
Ratty. Yes, we could call him the Brown. So, have you seen the show Legion on? Have you seen American Gods?
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. I started reading the book.
I started reading the book too, and I'm watching the show. What?
I didn't know that book existed. Even I've been enjoying the book too.
This is another thing I've noticed. Lots of new shit is appearing that I never heard of.
Well, that's how the world works.
Yeah, but I hear about a lot of things. Like I was talking about this in this other hangout. Go ahead, I'll find some. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that go to a bookstore. There's a lot of. I'm sure
I do every week. I go every week and I peruse and I read the new. I'm like,
think how many titles are there? I bet you went over American Gods so many times, and you just don't remember it.
Possibly. I went into. I think when I got turned on to Neil Gaiman, I really jumped Ratchet too quickly because it started with Good Omens, and I may have skipped a lot of Gaiman. But I stopped reading fiction at some point too.
Yeah, and that one goddess is crazy. The one whose vagina eats people.
Oh my God! Here, check out this. I'm gonna put this.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish up. You're asking who I watch. To me, one of the most important people putting out videos on the web is New Earth. The New Earth.
Sylvia.
Sylvia, yeah. The survivor story is part of the Gnostic narrative.
Yeah.
And what to me the most important thing, what shows us how it was just almost yesterday that there was still survivor culture on our planet was Tartaria, which is now Russia.
Okay.
And even when we formed as a nation on the registers, like for the flags and a coat of arms for the sea, Tartaria was still around when we first formed the United States. So that's the fact that there was still a Tartaria or a Tartary at that time means that that was the last vestiges of the old civilization, of the survivor culture. And it's one of the reasons why Russia will always be the perennial enemy unless they cave in, because they hold that in their culture, especially when you start going out in the back where the orthodoxy hasn't really gotten to them.
So what about like
Anastasia
the stories?
stuff.
Right, exactly. And Rasputin. What about like the stories of the gingers in Romania migrating north and east, or that would be west, northwest,
all over the place?
Yeah,
you find them all over the place, and that's a very distinct genetic marker.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So the one thing I know about, let's see, Jay Parker. Have you ever heard of Jay Parker?
I've heard the name. Yeah.
He's an SRA survivor. Sorry, go ahead, DJ.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you could talk a little more about the what you meant by survivor specifically.
Oh, her stories is called the Survivors of Atlantis series.
Okay, so it meant of Atlantis.
Yeah, and basically she covers. I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched the whole thing, and Radagast can talk to it more. But she does a lot of covering of monoliths, ancient megaliths, rather. And,
but she's using it as a signature marker to
correct.
To find the survivor culture, because it's a very high culture, especially its masonry is like a fingerprint.
And it's not that old.
Interesting.
Right.
You know, I really like megaliths because it's one of those things that you can take almost anybody, no matter what their beliefs, and show them kind of something of wonder.
Yeah, it's like, okay, how did we do that? And the thing is that humans made this shit. I'm not a big alien person. Right. Humans made this. We made this with our own technology that we have that's probably buried out there somewhere, that probably the governments have already. You know,
the aliens are covering up our greatness. That again, our greatness is the biggest thing being hidden
by aliens, by fake aliens. That's fake aliens.
You know, everything reinforces we're just trash and blah blah blah, and we need this, we need that, as opposed to the fact that a lot of us were quite rural and simple, but when the benevolent people of Atlantis interacted with us, not only did they give us their technology, they gave us their genes. They lifted our IQs. And what did the parasites do? They hoarded their genetic line. So here's a difference: one hoards, one shares. And those are the signatures: hoarding versus sharing.
Assimilation or non-assimilation?
Microsoft and Linux.
No, not even. It's more like the Borg versus the Federation. Do you give any credence to the story that the Atlanteans were Martians?
Yeah, I guess it's possible. You know, again, at this point, that's to me.
Doesn't matter.
That's curiosity. That's moving. And again, it's not like we don't want to look back forward, but we have forward movement. There's only so much looking at the back behind us while we're moving forward, unless we're going to stop moving forward and examine our navels. I mean, history is key to understanding our greatness. To me, the biggest part of history is how great we have been and how hard they have worked to cover that up. And then the whole thing is, oh, that's who we are. Let's get busy. We have to stop trying to think we need one more piece of knowledge before we know what to do.
I agree. It's time for action. I said this about 100 times. Go ahead.
What do you think about them like polluting our bodies? Like take electromagnetic waves that are flying around that weren't flying around 50 years ago. My dad always talked about something, how he said people didn't used to die of congested heart failure.
Chemtrail and HARP.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Well, I'm thinking about cell phones. I'm talking about cell phones, TV, radio. Like spectrum.
I think it's really harmful to the bees.
Oh.
And then specifically too, like stuff that's in our drinking water, like chlorine, causing maybe like
fluoride.
Fluoride's the really, really terrible thing. I mean, you can very lightly chlorinate stuff and let it air out. I mean, like, you know, when it comes to the fact that unfortunately the water has, I mean, when the Europeans arrived in America, you could drink any running water. If it ran, you could drink it.
Yeah.
And that's how the world was. And of course, European turned their rivers and streams into septic systems. But that's when we started cluster living.
And that's also, I might point out, what we drink every day. that's been chlorinated and processed, sanitized for our protection.
Well, and
It's
a lot
fucking
of drugs
sewage.
you take have been reclaimed from sewage systems.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people
Piss
don't
is
know
water. That's probably the basis of all those piss drinkers.
that. Yeah, piss is septic. Yeah, maybe in theory, but your piss is not aseptic. It's full of
And also,
bacteria and hormones. And
Oh, I know. I'm not.
I did it for a few months. It's no big deal. I mean, it's nothing really. It's absolute. I mean, again, it's all, any of that icky is all in your head. It is, it's got a little kind
drinking
of.
your own urine. If you drink, I mean, if you eat crops there's a lot of things that come up, like medically. Like just drinking your own urine is probably not that bad, but human waste is a problem for cluster living, like you were
Oh
saying.
yeah. I mean, again, it's like, we can all go out and take a pee outside for forever and ever and ever, and we'll never pollute a river.
You get 1,000 people doing it.
It's again, by the time you're peeing in the ground, you have all this nitrogen that the plants want. You have all
Vitamin U.
Well, there's certain diseases that actually crop up. Like, for example, in Japan during the I forget, but there was a particular time in Japan during the 1800s when they would take all of what they called dirt in the city, which was the human waste, bring it out to the fields to use as fertilizer. There's a reason we don't still do that, and it's because certain diseases and like gastrointestinal problems crop up. When you start using like city-wide waste.
That's why you're supposed to compost it first, because that everything gets broken down. The heat. I mean, you cut one step out, and you might die for it. So you're familiar. Yeah, the Survivor series, to me, it's what's most important is it lets us know our timeline has been messed with. That's a central part.
Yes.
And everybody's always, I mean, of course I try to do the math, but it's not as important as tuning into my gnosis and realizing how much closer in time the quote unquote ancient world was to us. I can feel it. And then you can start seeing it, and you can see all these distances that were created. And why? Because they don't want us to go back. They're trying to remove the time we were actually free and using this planet as it was given to us. They want to make that seem like the distant past.
I'll do you one better. They're still here. They're just in another frequency. They're in another, they're in another dimension, if you will, another timeline, because what we experience is like an interwoven, it's like a thread of popcorn, and each popcorn is one of these civilizations, like the Greeks or the Romans. We're all kind of in the same container, but they don't all exist together. That's why none of our history makes any sense. Some seems to be 50,000 years old, some is 6,000 years old, because time isn't linear. And that's what people really need to understand.
Yeah.
And everything else you said too. I mean, that's not the only thing. There's like so much shit people need to know.
Most important thing is know yourself.
Exactly. And be yourself. Be true to yourself. Don't let people tell you how to think or talk or speak.
That's because that is a mind control that you didn't make up, but you enforce.
Correct. And reinforce with everyone around you. I'm really proud of the fact that we told our kids right away that Santa was a lie, and it was great.
Yeah, well, because my son was kind of raised as a Wiccan. That is, you call yourself a Wiccan and you have no rituals. But at least he never got the mind virus of that particular. Now he does have the believe whatever comes across the TV virus so far, because his mother believes that.
But that's a psychotronic weapon, though. They're broadcasting signals in the television signals, specifically the HD ones. I can't imagine what's going to be in the 4K ones. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so toxic.
Yeah, they put stuff in between the keyframes and the flashes. You can't pick it up with normal equipment. There was a really good movie about it, by the way, called Looker in 1981, about the technology. Which leads to a whole other theory of mine, which I'll tell you about if you'd like sometime.
Anytime. Yeah.
But go ahead and finish your thing, your thought.
It'll come back. But
there's a collective consciousness of humanity. We can all pretty much agree on that, right?
Yeah, and I see that collective consciousness again as we are all fractals of our Creator. And so what it is once we realize that we are the creator in the physical form, it was developed to hold that energy, to be able to, like I said, come into the tiny hands.
A vessel.
And then we have to coordinate together with that kind of thing. And then we become a bigger organism. And this is the thing that I don't like about the concept of hive mind. There is an AI type of hive mind, but there's also the kind of hive mind of murmuration. Or even a good a beehive. I mean, first of all, you have a queen, and all those other bees are her daughters. It's not like she's a queen or ruler or tyrant. These are her daughters, and her daughters have control of the royal jelly. And if she ever acts up, they'll just make another queen and they'll fight it out. So the whole idea of, to me, there's another. I mean, hive is a bad word, but it's obvious if we're gonna let the if the one intelligence then diffuse into all of us, then we have to coordinate in a way that we act, that we realize that we're kind of have a central node that we're working for, each one, individual according to our skills and what we're ready to do. Because as we set to work, again, there's a dynamic. Who's the best person to, quote, lead us for this moment? We have dynamic leadership based on what do we need to, like, who's the foreman for this gig here? Who's the musical director here? Because in each case you need different skill sets, and so that's, to me, that's the kind of mind you need, where it's always about us. It's us, and us together is the divine mind, so to speak. And we're here to enjoy the planet. So when you realize that we are actually an emanation of the creator of this planet, then you realize that we created the planet for ourselves. We created the planet before we became beings, when we were one as the creator. And as the creator always creates itself outward, it still remains. Like even with the original topography that Joseph Farrell starts, first there was the great nothing. And then from that, you get like a yin-yang emanation of this pair. And so it looks like there's one. I mean, now there's two, because in the topology, it looks like it's separated from itself, but the original remains. So then you have the original, which is actually, could be by a circle, and then that division looks like it creates two, but you have the division and then the whole that would be there before the division.
It's an inverted optical illusion. It's the inversion, right? That's the source of the infection.
But it's, again, from the fact that we created this planet when we were in God, as God, and then when God decided to create bodies that could hold its energy, you got to realize that it's like we gave the planet, we built the planet and for ourselves, and then developed the bodies so we could get in them to enjoy this beautiful planet. I guarantee, I mean, the creativity of nature, I mean, the species of trees, insects, I mean, the creativity on this planet is off the charts creative. I mean, now you see, in nature, you see how infinite the creator is. I mean, but I feel Earth is different than other solar systems in our galaxy, because the Gnostic myth seems to say that Sophia being in the Earth is unique to any of the other solar systems. It's just they got that from
other solar systems. Where did it get that from?
Well, in other words, any star that has planets in its orbit is another solar system. Mm-hmm. So the conditions for life are similar. I mean, the Gnostic myth is the concept of the panspermia being put out when conditions were starting to get right in the arms. So all the possibilities that could happen in any environment were put out as a panspermia, and as they settled into the arms and onto planets, whatever, there was enough variation of infinite codes to exploit any environment to start at least a singular cell, and then you start building. I mean, when you really think about the single cell is how the life first takes form in a 3D world, and then it starts coordinating, and it starts building systems and multicellular organisms. And you see kind of things like that in our own body, where you have a liver, you have a heart, you have kidneys, all very distinct, all coming from the stem cell, which is the original one. Go, okay, I can do anything, and then the DNA sends out RNA packets that are each one unique, and each, because DNA is a library, RNA is what makes things. So from DNA, you'll put out to one group of cells, it's kidney. For another group of cells, you get the RNA code for heart. And then the other beautiful thing about the body using that as how we would live together is there is no competition for resources in our body. If adrenaline comes into the system, then the body pulls blood out of the brain and out of the digestive system and delivers it to the muscles, because according to the signals, that's what it needs. Once the adrenaline drops, everybody gets their blood back. There's no, I mean, liver doesn't conspire. Oh, I want more blood than the heart. He's getting, you know, or I mean, you understand, when we look inside our body, we see nothing but harmony and cooperation.
The circulatory system is just amazing.
Yeah. And to that point you just made about hoarding, I was thinking about this the other day. Someone was talking about being vegan versus vegetarian and whatnot. Animals kill other animals and don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't concerned about it and don't feel guilty, and they don't hoard coins and shit. You know, well, first of all, they have no pockets, so they couldn't keep it. But still, you know, I don't see my cats. Well, I actually do see them hoard food, but other than necessities, I don't see them hoarding trinkets and unnecessary things.
Well, I can tell you one of the most spiritual experiences I ever had was my very first kill on a hunt. It was just, I don't know, the guy I wasn't brought up hunting, but the person that first took me to my first kill is very into Native American traditions, things like that. So we talked about how the animal's giving its life for you, and that's like a spiritual thing. It was a pretty amazing thing. I can't really describe it. It's just something you got to experience for yourself.
Did you stuff that thing or did you eat it?
Oh, we ate it.
Okay, good.
I remember the first time I had a .22 rifle, I shot a frog in half. And I've never wanted to shoot another animal since.
Yeah, I remember the first time I took my son fishing, and he kept telling the fish it was going to be okay as we headed over to the fish fillet table. We decided to throw it back.
Yeah, well, I used to fish a lot, and, you know, from a different consciousness. And when I'm thinking about the joy I used to feel of feeling another animal struggling for its life from a fake gift, a hook wrapped in a gift. I mean, the whole aspect of that kind of fishing now. Fishing with a net, to me, is what I would consider a harvest. There's no trickery in that. You just, you want what you want. To me, fishing with a hook is just so deceptive. I don't like it.
Well, I think it depends on where you're trying to get fish. I mean, I think it's impractical probably to use a net sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm. No,
I mean, if you're fishing for survival or if you're fishing for food, and do you really have to fish for the food? I mean, I didn't need to kill a deer. So, I mean,
and I actually have no problem with hunting. One of the reasons why I don't is because the natural death for most animals that we would eat and wolves eat, their natural death is to be eaten. What do you think? A deer dies of old age? No. Once you start getting that old, that means you get eaten. So I don't mind us harvesting, because in many ways we're going to kill them a little nicer than a wolf might.
That's true.
It's the raising of animals that we're going to kill that I think is kind of creepy.
Yeah, like safari hunts and such.
And then again, there's the old traditional one, which wasn't so creepy. I mean, the fact modern meat technology with the, you know, how we do it, the kindest thing we do to animals in modern technology is kill them. That's the best part of their life, is when we finally end it for them. That's fucking satanic. That's archontic. That's horrible.
Are you familiar with Temple Grandin?
No.
You might look into that. She was an autistic woman.
So am I.
Have you ever seen the?
Does she have nice titties and ass?
No, she's very plain looking. Have you ever seen, like, when they're putting cattle onto cars to sell them or whatever? They have this big thing that squeezes them right before they go up the ramp. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but she's the one that invented that. She used to have this huge contraption that she would squeeze herself with to calm her anxiety that was caused by her autism. And she adapted that to calm cattle down so that they're not freaking out as we march them off to their death.
So she hypnotized them.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You could probably get a job at MK Ultra.
As an Aspie, and my son's an Aspie too. I have a real understanding of a lot of what's behind the spiritual aspect of let's call organic autism. I'm talking about autism not caused by things put in people's bodies. You're born that way. I mean, again, to me, it's these really sensitive souls that come into the archontic world and said, "Oh my God, it's bad enough the whole world's like this. My parents are even infected." And
very true.
And they just withdraw. And to me, the one, and they have a sense of the world of what it's supposed to be like, and it's not like that. And that is really where a lot of their trauma comes from, because I know it. I mean, I've dealt with it, and I've taught my son to deal with it. But I've also gotten more involved, and I'm higher functioning. So I've made it work. But real autism that's not caused by other than like the spirit from within and how they dealt with their body. I get it big time.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, a lot of the vaccines now, I just wish that a friend of mine just had a new baby, and they just gave it like 7 shots the other day. And this was not the same baby that came home. I mean, I had seen this baby a lot. It totally affected this child's brain, because they give them so many now all at once. It's just terrifying. I don't know. I think vaccines are important, but I think they're overdoing it now.
When my son was born, if I hadn't been there to protect him, he would have been circumcised and been given an MMR vaccine. And
right when he was born?
Huh?
Right when he was born?
Yeah, I mean, he left the day he was born. He was living a cesarean section, and I was holding him while his mother recovered. And a couple of times they tried to pull him. How about the MMR vaccine? And they said, no, he's leaving here without it. They tried 2 or 3 times as I was leaving. They'd already asked me once or twice to circumcise him. I said no. And as I'm leaving, they go, "We have a little room over here. We can just pull him in there and circum." I said, I can't ask him whether he wants that.
There's I've had this argument with ladies quite a few times, and the same thing I keep hearing is, don't you want them to ever get a blowjob? And I'm just like, what? I mean, non-circumcised males get blowjobs all. You probably gave one, didn't even know the difference. It doesn't make sense. That's one thing I would probably do differently. And I would suggest any parent,
some chicks
have a little boy, just leave their little penis alone.
Well, historically, who was the first circumcised man? Abraham, right?
Well, I guess that's what.
Historically, I'm talking about historically.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's why I said historically.
It's such a strange thing.
And originally,
that could possibly be true.
But here's the point. Okay, it happens when he's interacting with Yaldabaoth. Okay, that Yaldabaoth says that you will do this, and I will know my people.
Right.
And for me, one of the reasons he did, because again, the natural way a penis comes out is how the Creator created us, and so it was offensive to somebody that didn't create us. And it was a form of mutilation, because he's mute. But one of the things we have to get about Yaldabaoth is he has mommy issues, and I understand them. The Gnostic understands that he would have mommy issues, because I think what really bugs him is she did something she shouldn't do, and there was no punishment, because there is no punishment for real.
How does an AI have mommy issues?
He's not AI. He's a divine being.
What do you think divine beings are?
Organic, like me, you and me are divine beings. We're in a fractalized organic,
maybe not,
very moist kind of way.
There's lots of theories out there.
I'm doing gnosis, not theories.
Okay, all right, sorry.
I mean,
Sophia, yeah, and tying back into Robert Stanley, and I wasn't either blessing or denying what he said. It had some commonalities to what you were saying. He talks about Sophia, and Enki is her son,
yeah.
who is the infected one here, and who owns Earth. So you know the story. Yeah. So I mean, it's almost the same story.
Yeah, he's
a sci-fi.
Yeah,
sci-fi.
He's trying again. The Sophianic narrative is starting to leak out. They're going to have to start shitting on it. They're going to have to.
It's been out for like 45 years or 70 years now.
What has for 6 or 7 years?
Dead Sea Scrolls, where the Nag Hammadi doctrines or what treaties were found, right? Wasn't that Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yeah, but
I thought that wasn't in that.
the fact that people can read them isn't what's dangerous. It's when people start actually maybe reconsidering their cosmology. When that language starts leaking out and they can see it, that's when they start getting worried.
Why? What? There's no danger to know that, though. There's danger to religion.
No,
yeah.
that's how they own us. Once we have that narrative, they can no longer own us. In our heads, remember, it's a mind parasite. That cosmology allows us to remove it. Because I remember when I made my transition, and it took a lot of bravery to cut the cord, because the mind parasite's telling you, if you cut that cord, God's going to be mad. You know, you might be wrong about this gnosis thing of yours.
You're definitely going to hell then.
Yeah, and it wasn't until you actually commit, sink into it, and take in this new energy that you realize that you have been lied to your whole life. And when you feel that connection, when suddenly like almost the universe bursts into reality and you feel connected to everything, and your own self-worth and that sense of we, when you in your heart with the creator, with God, whatever you want to call it. And we don't need to use Sophia. To me, that's why I made my first video. Sophia is our God.
Yeah, you said before, you said our creator. That's perfectly acceptable.
And yeah, because I don't want to plug people. This is the problem. The things I'm saying will trigger people because the mind virus will kick in. It's like, oh, this is not good for people to hear, you know. And then the fun begins. The fun and fuckery.
Yes.
True.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
It's great talking to you guys, man. This is like great.
I never get to talk about cool shit like this.
You know what? Because we're clear. The problem is when you usually bring this up, you will trigger most of the people around you.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just, and I understand it. Like I said, it took shamanic bravery to really cut the cord, not worry, and because I knew what I felt, and then we're like, holy, I can't believe what a virus, what a shackle, this whole system that you get tied into. It felt so good, and it continues to feel great. And to know we're on the planet this planet, this lovely, juicy, wonderful, currently very wrecked planet in a lot of ways. But even, you know, if you can just get to some unspoiled nature, if one of the archons allow you to go enjoy some unspoiled nature, if they haven't closed it off to you, because you might find something that they haven't scoured out.
It's been interesting around here lately. By the way, I have a question. You are sensitive to energies, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you noticed a change in the last 2 days? General feeling of oppression has set in?
No, the opposite.
Okay. Well, where I'm at, it just today was like I went outside and I was like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I feel that too. But that's a reaction. I feel, you know, I mean, there's.
I've never felt it before like that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know, DC is magically configured to amplify whatever's going on there.
You're in DC?
No. I'm talking about whatever happens in DC gets broadcast to the nation owing to how they set up things.
Right, because it's right in the middle on the ley line vortex.
Right now, DC is shitting its pants big time, and I think that's part of the oppression we're feeling.
Is that partial to the reversal of ley lines, like more people waking up, so there's more positive energy going into it, like kind of reversing the flow of things?
No, the Seth Rich story is about to break.
Yeah, that's what I was about to think.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but that's just the expression of what's really happening.
Yeah, the unveiling.
Yeah, but it's in the true Gnostic sense, and this is the Maya, right? The illusion of the demiurge. Isn't that the whole Gnostic thing too? Right. So what's happening is really a reflection of what.
We don't use Maya. That's a Vedic term.
Is that Vedic? Okay, I went Vedic on you. I'm sorry, but the Gnostics have a similar thing, that this is an illusory life, right?
Yes, but see, this is the thing. This is what I loved about John Lash. Besides the fact that he is a Gnostic shaman, And he's also able to read the sky. He knows how to read the sky like the Magi did. If I ever can spend any time with him, that's the one. I don't need anything from him other than knowing how to read the sky.
Okay, so you say that this guy can read the sky, and that people have been able to read the sky for thousands of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're moving through space at 2 trillion miles an hour, how could they be in the same spot all this time?
Oh, no. Because we're traveling. Because the galactic arms are spinning. It's like a big conveyor belt going around the central sun.
Okay, it's just I mean, I don't see any change in the constellations, and they've always been the same for 2,000 years. And if we're actually moving from these things that are trillions of light years away,
but they're moving in the arm medium. They're in the same medium we are, and this is all about.
We could see Orion. That's not in our galaxy.
No, but I'm talking. Yes, it is. It's on the outside. It's a little bit past us in the arms.
We can see Andromeda. That's not in our galaxy.
Right.
Andromeda is a galaxy.
It's also a star. Or whatever. I'll find a fucking star we could see. Point's the same. We could see stuff in other galaxies that aren't spinning our way or going our way, and they never change.
Okay, so what would you like to say is the causative effect of that?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Well, I think that you're incorrect, and if you just study a little more carefully the different levels, like we can see the different stars in our galaxy, but we can also take it out another level, and we can see different galaxies around our galaxy. And like the human eye can't see the Milky Way that well. I'm sure you've seen the pictures where you see like this.
Yeah.
The Milky Way in the sky when you set a camera to expose for like 30 seconds when you're out in the woods. That's our galaxy. But all the stars that you see there, those are pretty close to us. They're not that far away.
Like 100 miles close?
No, not that close.
No, so I can see what brought this. I'm now remembering how we got into this.
I'm not going flat Earth or anything. I mean,
no, I understand.
I'm
used to Jerry's doing this.
I hear the validity of your question, brother. I hear total validity of it, and it's a good question. And if I had to say, well, what would my answer? My answer is why we see it isn't as important as what we need to do here.
Agreed. I look at it as, I don't want to say a glitch in the matrix because that's a really overused term, but it's something for us to notice, to realize that this is just an illusion. It's for the awakened to notice things, because that's how people wake up. They go, wait, that's not right. Hey, okay. Wait, the moon's got some kind of digital refresh built into it. What the fuck's up with that?
I've made well, I don't know quite what's happened to the moon, but I'm not. Yeah,
we don't know. I'm not asking you for answers.
No, I'm talking. I don't even know that it matters so much. Again, if we own our power, if we get empowered, all this stuff starts to really not matter. And so that's why I keep on trying to take the focus back inward, being empowered, knowing ourselves, and knowing what the fuck we want to do next.
Yeah, well, it's also just it keeps everyone distracted from noticing the things that are fucked up. Yeah, and it beats us down. It's the drug analogy. If you take speed long enough, you'll have to start taking more and more coke. If you snort coke, one line will get you high for a week, and then the next week you're gonna have to do 2 lines, and then 4 lines. It's almost that same progression of things. But it's the opposite. That the violence and the killing and everything is numbing us against, it's the reverse tolerance effect, numbing us against all the things that have been happening. And I think that's going on with all the transgender in our face lately. Not that I have a problem with it, it's totally cool. But, just it's being pushed in an agenda-like way.
Well, I can tell you there has been problems with it. I work with the medical community, and it's causing confusion with some people.
Yeah, again, more division, more confusion, more distraction. One more thing to worry about. One more thing to possibly sensationalize on the news. I don't know.
Yes, distraction.
One after another.
And that's what
I gotta wonder.
And to me, the New Age is one of those distractions because we're always trying. Everybody comes in with their little nugget that they found somewhere and wants to discuss it like it's important. I understand it's important to them, but it's important to us. I mean, it's almost, like with Phil B. Phil B has some real issues with BR, but some of us don't. But he is so into it that he kind of almost wants to come and make the whole conversation about what his interest is. And again, for him, it's totally valid. It's an issue. But when you come into a group, can we all is that one person who needs something different than all the rest of the group? And then you're also going, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to take care of this guy because I love him. He's my brother. But I'm not sure that this issue that he's struggling with is really helping us move forward. Remember,
well, to be fair to Phil too, he was hanging out drinking, and as the night goes on, you drink more and more. And we weren't drinking, so that can cause some.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's no question about that. And if you know anything about drinking and they don't call it spirits for nothing.
And meth is actually worse. It opens up different kinds of firewalls.
Oh, yeah.
Good grief! I could talk
for attachments.
Yes. That tears people up. And there's something about that too. The fact that anybody near a cotton field can go out and make it. It's just, I don't know. It's causes a lot of problems in my area of the world.
Wait, I want to address something, Chad. I misspoke on that. There's not a concerted effort to make everyone think that. It just seems like it's being hyper normalized or normalized more quickly than the percent of the population that actually is transgendered. And the other problem I do have with it is the 40 or 50 genders they've come up with. I've seen some of these forms with like 30 genders.
You have to realize there's people that are seeing that on TV and saying, that's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's only two sexes. You're either male or female. Your gender can be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
I just think that when you're going to make the decision to have surgery or take powerful drugs,
right? It should
not be made hastily.
I agree, and
that's my only point.
And it ain't holistic.
To Esoteric's point, yes, it is because of hate crimes, partially to drive more lawmaking, which drives more revenue and more commerce for the system. Because we got to remember, money flows through the system, and that is partially the aorta of the beast. So, yeah, I agree. But I was just saying, it just seems like lately it's been in the news a lot with the bathroom thing, and I guess that was last summer.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of
the Bill Nye thing on Netflix. That took the cake, though.
I mean, maybe they are just, instead of men and women, they put poles and holes. It's just like, what are you going to do? Are you going to pull out a hose? Use this bathroom. Are you going to squat? Use that bathroom.
Bathrooms are made for servicing one's genitals, and they're.
I don't care if some dude comes into my men's room in high heels and a skirt, pulls up a skirt, and then uses the urinal. I could care less. But I don't want them going into the ladies' room.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, even if I was transgendered, I would probably feel more comfortable in the men's room, and guys would realize that. Oh, he's like, one of them.
If you go to a club that they're, like if you go to straight night at a gay club or something, everyone's using all the bathrooms.
I think a lot of the men who are trying to get into ladies' rooms just want to hear ladies fart.
Ladies don't fart, they poof.
My wife used to fart, and it was horrible.
Oh, yeah, that's another reason to be MGTOW. Sleep alone.
That kind of sucks too sometimes.
Oh, I love it.
Well, you've been married 4 times, so.
I love having my own bed.
I got half a bed. The cats take the other half.
That's why I don't have pets either.
Yeah, these are my last pets.
Well, I had a cat for 20 years, and she got ill. I cried like a baby. She died. I cried like a baby. I said, I'm not doing that again. I am not doing that again.
See, that's why I really want to get a capuchin monkey.
Well, I guess I'm at the point actually where if I look for human comfort, I go hang out with some friends. If I just need that inner comfort, I just turn inward and get really self-sufficient. I'd like to live in community. I love people, but when I need my alone time, it needs to be just me.
Yeah, totally. Did I hear you say you're out on Long Island?
No, I'm living in Floyd, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. I'm in Atlanta, by the way.
Yeah, well, no, Floyd, Virginia. Floyd, Virginia is where the original hippies and communal type people came here about 30, 35 years ago. But they were hippies who actually had skills and could do things. So they fit into the Appalachian culture. As a matter of fact, they actually enriched the Appalachian culture and vice versa. So now I'm in a southern town, people with plenty of southern accents, guys in big trucks and hats, and I mean, big, huge Scottish descendant men. These guys could throw a caber, which is like a small telephone pole. But we interact really well because we know each other and we appreciate each other. Hippies aren't trying to turn the rurals into hippies, and the rurals aren't trying to turn the hippies into rurals. We just live because we understand we both got goods. We got goods. We got skills. We love the land, and so
you guys are still there. That's where you're at now.
That's where I am. Yeah.
And you still want a different community, or you want to make that bigger into what you're?
Yeah, I want to there's a piece of land I want to turn into a very unique community based on some experiences I've had, and also knowing what hasn't worked in the past, and seeing why they failed was not hard at all. And part of it is who you pull in. Yeah. I mean, you have to realize when you put out the call, oh, hippies, and you end up with a lot of deadbeats. And you don't need the deadbeats are naturally attracted to that stuff. So it's when you form a community, you have to be able to vet people so that you remove the deadbeats.
A little bit of Ayn Rand with everything else, maybe.
Again, I can't. When we talk about a writer, that means we have to kind of almost take like their body of work. And I mean, sure, if we cherry pick her, we could make Ayn Rand look good. If we could also cherry pick her and make her look like a really horrible person, and then take her in whole and go, there's a few good ideas in there.
I've never read anything by her.
Maybe a little bit of Galt's Gulch.
Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, again, I would, to me, there are a lot of the modern creation, like we reference novels and movies and a lot. And to me, all that stuff kind of represents repeated archontic programming at some level or another, if nothing else, because it has a cognitive dissonance to it.
I like your forward thinking.
A lot of things. Cognitive dissonance is. I heard someone say this the other day. Who was talking about it? There's an astrologer called Robert Phoenix. Have you ever heard of him?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Robert's cool. Did you listen to his 15 Minutes of Flame podcast? It's like a daily 30-minute update.
Oh, no. Oh man, I have to chase the news to be relevant.
No, it's yeah. He just does like this happened yesterday. Here's the astrology around it, or if it was interesting or not. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That. I would like that a lot.
It's supposed to be. He targets 15 to 30 minutes. I totally forgot what I was going to bring up that he said. What were you talking about before that?
The archonic.
Cognitive dissonance. You were ripping on cognitive dissonance.
Oh, right. He brought up a good point, which just totally made me think about it when he was talking about it, that I think the Berkeley Antifa nonsense, all that crap that was going on, right? How can I explain what he was trying to talk about? That basically the millennial generation, they're so attached to their phones, they're triggered by, they have triggers. They have mind control triggers. This was the whole point of what he was saying.
Right.
Through the conditioning they've had in their lives in the last 20, 25 years, they now have real MK triggers that were, introduced, installed into them through television and media.
And education, yeah, right.
And education, right. It was like all three. Hey, it was like all three roommates here.
And all three are part of the one thing moving as separate fingers.
Correct. So these people are like walking time bombs. And we saw it with the election when Trump won. They just went rioting. That's crazy.
Yes.
And some people just shut down too.
Yeah, well, those probably resisted the programming.
I mean,
and then there's all of us who don't watch TV who are like, "What the fuck is going on out there?"
No, that was like zombie apocalypse.
It really was, and it was totally triggered. Totally. That's how I saw it.
No, what?
And that's how Robert saw it.
Absolutely. And it's almost, they've kind of developed this, politically correct language where the normal way we speak is full of triggers for them.
Yeah, exactly. And the marching.
That's
Marching.
I keep clicking the wrong button. That's the whole point of political correctness.
Mm-hmm.
It's the inversion of that, because the inversion becomes the trigger. If you're not PC, then you trigger people. I triggered my brother yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. I called somebody a retard, and he flamed out on me on Facebook. I posted a tweet about it. It's really funny too. And basically, you know, he got all mad, and then offline he sent me a text telling me, well, my wife's sister's cousin's brother has a child with Down syndrome, so I'm really careful about where it's used. I'm like, I wasn't fucking talking about her kid.
Right.
I was talking about a politician.
We don't call Down syndrome retards anymore. That's why we call it Down syndrome. Now we can use the word retard for where it belongs.
Exactly.
Dysfunctional humans.
That's just the thing. I totally triggered him, and he just turned 50. He's 2 years younger than me. So it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's like you got to be careful what you say, and I am certainly not one to be careful what I say. So
yeah,
it's interesting times.
Very. And and
one more point, and I'll shut up.
Sure.
I promise.
No, keep on going.
You said before it's important to laugh, and I fucking laugh at everything. There's not one thing I don't look at and go, that's hilarious. You know, because it is. It really is. This, I kind of look at life as that this is the, if it's true that we plan our lives out, this is the game I would want that was really funny. But it just took me a long time to figure it out. All right, I'm done.
Where do I want to go?
Triggering cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, that's that's one of the, like, I had this probably a 3-hour conversation, and maybe it was 2.5. I started at 7 o'clock in the morning and went to 9:30, and I was talking actually to Kathy Thomas of the iRise forum, and because she was receptive and I was having all of this stuff coming out of me, I really moved a lot. Now I'm actually, you might think I've really been delivering tonight. I've actually been guarded because I know we're public, and I don't want to trigger. I don't want to do too much triggering because I don't want to have to deal with that yet.
Well, you're popular. I'm not.
I have under 900. I have 909 subscribers. I started out 904. I gained 5 tonight.
I think I just got 100 yesterday.
Whoa, man!
And I stream daily. Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
That's good. It takes a while.
I don't really care. I have 104 right now. I don't really care. I'm not on this to make money. I will not monetize my stand-up channel.
I might do a Patreon thing when I think that I've gotten my act together. So that's the other thing. You know, I'm a body worker. I don't want to say licensed massage therapist because I don't like the word licensed.
You're an energy worker.
And I'm also a musician since I'm 12. So I have 2 professions. And I'm not a snowflake. I never got a gold star for nothing. And so any credit, any skills I have are real skills. And so so I know what a good musician I am. I know what a really good body worker I am. But as far as making YouTubes right now, I feel like I'm still working my shit out. So when I feel like I've kind of reached a part where I'm really got my act together enough, I would then put up a Patreon account, which again, it's voluntary. But I don't even want to, to me, again, I want to be offering something that I think passes my own integrity and smell and quality test.
And something that's actually worth selling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm personally opposed to Patreon for myself. I actually subscribe to people. You know, I pay for podcasts. There's Where Did the Road Go? If you ever listen to that, it's a great podcast. And I give them money on Patreon, and there's a couple artists I support. I have no problem with that, but I would never do it because I think a lot of people who do it, and this is nothing to do with you or anybody, but when people start with a Patreon account, especially after the YouTube nonsense that went on lately, it seems to me that the people who give them money guilt them into being mentioned every time. So there's a portion of their content is now dedicated to thanking Patreon supporters or begging for Patreon money. You know, if I was going to do it, I'd put a slide at the end of my video or at the beginning. I'm on Patreon. Here's my link. Pause the video if you want to pay. I wouldn't mention it. I wouldn't say anything. That's just me. But
that's how Styx does it. Styx never acknowledges anybody. You know, Styx Hexenhammer.
I do, and that's good. If he does, I commend him for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, the people who are doing all that begging, it's like, now we know why you started your YouTube. When I started my YouTube 2 years ago to put up Gaia is our God, I did it to I wanted to start a dialogue. It had nothing to do with monetizing. I've never thought of monetizing it because I wouldn't force people to watch ads that I think shouldn't be put in front of anybody's eyes for the most part. You know, I mean, I think what
right.
Many of those ads are acontic poison. Why would I ask you to do that? That's dirt money. That's shit money.
Right. My view on it is I will not watch an ad. Why should I make you watch one?
Right. I have ad blocker.
Me too. I don't watch ads.
So that's right.
What about the YouTube Red money?
I pay for that.
Well, you know, you get some of that, especially if your videos are long.
I do.
Well, if you're a YouTube partner, you do.
I'm not.
Well, I'm just saying that's not based on ads.
Still, I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, so I haven't looked into it. If they don't see ads and I can get money from my content and it's not negatively taken, then I don't have a problem with that. If that's like if the purpose of YouTube Red was to help subsidize content creators, you know, who don't monetize, then yeah, that's okay.
I mean, even like, once again, I will speak like in terms about, you know, subjecting whatever. And there might be people going, hey, well, I do that to my people. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. And that's the other thing. A lot of times people get triggered because they go, well, I'm doing that. So what? Do it.
Right. People can't distinguish between when they're being talked about and when they're not being talked about. That's a sign of an overactive ego.
Yeah.
And guilt.
That's right.
There's a lot of archetypes in there fighting to be on top.
I think it's definitely good that you support people that you like. I mean,
absolutely.
You've got a lot of people. If you're sitting in front of a computer editing your videos for hours a day, you deserve to make some money.
I do.
Yeah.
I make shitty videos. All I make is time lapses and videos to mock NASA. So
we're the new TV. So I mean, to me, it's really okay to ask for support, because like any good enterprise, if you're putting out a product that there are people who enjoy, you will find the support. If you're not getting any support, maybe, you know, look at your product. Are you reaching the people that you think might like? I mean, there's a lot of questions you need to ask yourself, but ultimately, you know, it's about you and what you're offering people and the value they find for it. So it's feedback. If you're doing well, that's one feedback. And if you're not doing so well, that's another feedback. It's just data streams.
Right. I know. I guess I'm just tired of hearing people bitch about how their revenue streams down on YouTube.
It's best not to hear anything.
Yeah, it's. I know it happened, and I don't think it. Well, I don't want to get into that, but I mean, the whole reason that happened, I think, was completely not what we heard. I think that YouTube advertising, the return on investment is very low for a large advertiser like Coca-Cola, for instance. But they're committed to multi-year contracts to advertise on YouTube. How can we get out of this contract? Well, there's questionable, you know, content that our ads are being shown on. Get our lawyers on it. Boom, they pull them all. You know, that's probably more close to what really happened. How it got spun is, who knows.
Well, did you see the thing about the guy? A lot of it came from a guy that was sending stuff to journalists because he wanted to try and get Google to buy his software. Yes,
I heard that. Was that on like Outer Light?
I don't know. I looked into it and I found a lot of this guy. I looked up his patent and stuff.
Oh, the patent. Did you see the patent I dropped in there? In the chat?
No, I didn't.
Shit. Where was that?
I'm on a phone. I don't usually see the chat.
No, it's cool. No worries. There was, this is going back to like the beginning of the conversation, since we kind of wrapped this up. Here, we're going to put it here. It's in the live chat. So I've noticed, crazy me, this is going to crazy town now. I've noticed things in Google searches that seem to be new or inserted back into history. And by history, I mean Google's search history. And this is one such thing. And this guy and all the patents that he has come up with. Now, the coolest thing about this patent, and the reason I chose it, was kind of for esoteric. I hope you're still here.
I'm here.
No,
I'm looking at the patent.
Not you.
Oh.
Girl in chat. Is she here? Oh, she left. Damn it. All right. Well, I'm going to show it to you. Check out this picture.
Oh, you're putting it in chat?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can share it. I'm a retard.
Yeah,
actually,
share it.
see, I have to turn off my other monitor.
No, it's all right. I'll pull it up. I just had
No,
to.
no, hold on.
I'm looking at it now.
I can fix it right now.
Whoa, is it like 2 Tesla coils and then a Zelda Triforce?
Is it showing?
I'm looking at something with 2 Tesla coil things.
I can't find the damn window.
Figure 16.
Yeah, 16. Yes. Okay, so it's up. Good. So this. Oh, Jesus.
No, I'm looking at the image. There you go. Now it's up.
Okay, good. So Radagast, you see this?
Oh yeah, Boaz and Joachim.
Exactly. With what's in the middle? Solomon's triangle.
Mm.
What is this that we're looking at though? What patent?
It's the patent, this patent here called Full Body Teleportation System from April 6th, 2006. Yeah, this guy.
What's the guy's name again? Can you read off his name?
John St. Clair. John Q, I think it's Quincy St. Clair.
Is this just a case of the patent office? Like, because I recently went through obtaining a patent, and it was 10 years of hell.
I know.
How did
I
this
went
guy
through
get
it
these
too.
weird patents?
In 2 years. They filed in 2002. And
is it just the case of the examiner throwing his hands up and being like, who gives a fuck? I mean,
it is what it is. My point is that I don't believe it was in Google before recently.
Well, there is a thread about this on Avalon.
Is there?
And and people mentioned having prior knowledge of it.
They did.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe it's just not been. But look at all these things. Look at this one.
I think it's actually just gaining traction and maybe it's come up in the Google. Like now there's interest about it. So
I don't want to say it's like a Mandela effect because I don't know what that is. But energy amplifier, I think people would be fucking making these if they knew about it.
Dude, there's a whole list of them. They're all crazy if you look at them.
Look at this. That's what Trump was touching in Saudi Arabia. I'm not kidding. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's shit. What do I want to say?
There's some really strange ones.
What I'm saying is that we're being exposed to. Okay, well, yeah, I'll send it to you. You can go. We're being. I don't even know how to put this. Stop sharing.
Oh man, you did the infinity.
I'm sorry, because I had to unplug my second monitor. Because I'm on Linux, I don't run Windows. We are. Yeah, we're being exposed to. It's a form of disclosure. How's that? Is that the best way to put it? That this technology. You even brought it up earlier that there's 100 years ahead in technology in certain areas that's being withheld from the public by the military-industrial complex or whomever, right? So I think this is the slow. The soft launch of that info into the public. They insert it into the Google search timeline. So it looks like it was in 2006. It may have been, but it was suppressed until now. So now you can get to it. That's one possible explanation for it. I just think if all these patents have been out there for 11 years now, that we would see some really fucking cool tech coming out of it.
Yeah.
Which was another point I wanted to bring up with CW is that in my view, technology has not changed in 10 years. It's gotten smaller, it's gotten faster, but it hasn't changed.
Good point.
Nothing new is out there except, I don't know how much web programming you do. I'm a computer programmer, by the way. I have been for 35 years.
Wow.
There have been no new technologies except frameworks or graphics or graphic acceleration or application-based technology. There's been no fundamental hardware technology changes. They're at the limit of what they can do on Intel chip right now, for the most part. That's why they've gone to quantum stuff. Or going to. Yeah, and that's a whole scary thing too.
I think there's over claims about the quantum, and I guess was it I think it was Danny of Danny and Lisa Harrison. I think she was the one who was showing that the D-Wave computer is not all that. I think quantum computing is probably still eluding them. I think we're hearing the word quantum computing, but I think there's a little hype.
See, I've been told we're 50 years away from a true quantum computer.
True in the way they define it, but Google claims to have a D-Wave computer running part of their system. So does the NSA.
Right. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying, what is it really capable of?
My crazy thought is that, so like, the structure of the CPUs, they use what's called a quantum bit, a qubit. Okay. So quantum computers use a CPU device called a quantum CPU, QCPU. And instead of the registers in it aren't, on a regular CPU, you've got 8, 16, 32, 64 bits, which is the maximum amount of data you can put in a register at once to program the machine language.
Okay.
It's a lot of bullshit. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm following it.
Okay. So quantum computers use qubits, which are 3-state trinary digits. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And it is speculated, because it's all proprietary, nobody really knows, that the ternary bit is in a parallel dimension.
Okay.
And there's even stories out there that say that some of the early quantum computer tests they got back answers they were going to ask before they asked them.
Okay.
Psychic robots.
Well, to me, the moment I'm listening to it, I'm going, okay, and then, when it's proprietary. Oh, that way you can make a claim and we can't really find out whether or not the science backs up your claim.
That's exactly why NASA is beginning to outsource all of their stuff. They can no longer maintain the facade that they're really in space. So they're moving everything off to third parties who are under private corporations that cannot be audited by the public, only by the government. So they can hide whatever they want from now on.
And declare whatever they want, and nobody can disprove it.
Exactly.
So
like
again,
they declare the space station's real, but it's not, or it's not exactly the way they make it out to be. To me, a lot of this promotion and why we're hearing about it is because they're trying to make us think they're mightier than they are. This is Wizard of Oz crap. Just go to the DMV and you'll find out that's not true.
I'm not talking about being hooked into the system. I'm talking about not, breaking the system. The DMV is part of the system. I mean,
and I was saying you could see how fucked up the system is and couldn't be capable of this stuff.
All right.
You can realize that by going to the DMV. Sorry.
The DMV is pretty awesome, actually.
Really?
I'll be right back. I got to get
a new one, and it's like incredible.
Okay.
Although not many people live where I live, so.
Well, I think, I certainly think we're having a good conversation here. And what
do you guys think that, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask what you guys think. Have you ever seen, I forgot the designation, but it's basically a drone space shuttle. Have you seen that thing that they fly around in like the upper atmosphere? What do you guys think they're doing in that? Because I know it's classified. People speculate. It's all we can do, but what do you think they're doing flying that thing around?
Spending lots of money and giving data to retarded scientists who wouldn't know what the fuck to do with half of it.
That's probably the truth.
I mean, to me, so much of what they're doing, everything that we know about them, to me, is the Wizard of Oz trick. They're really they're just these little, failing bloodlines behind a curtain. And because we are now psychologically controlled, all we have to do is put it out there. If we believe it exists, and we start reacting to it, and that's all they want us to do is react to it. To think it's there. Ooh, AI, once again, we're going to talk about AI and say, how about us? What are we going to do? What about the AI? Fuck the AI. Let's find out let's do something and find out what it's capable of.
Is it the Microsoft AI that the guys on 4chan turned into a Nazi and they had to take it offline?
Really?
They basically taught it to speak foul language.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had to take the thing off. Like within a few days, it was spouting all kinds of horrible stuff.
Yeah, you could do that with a gray parrot too.
It was a failed experiment.
The whole thing with 4chan, I mean, the whole thing about the energy, the Keck energy that got unleashed there, man, that was some pretty interesting magic they pulled off there. The other thing, there's something about what I like about Kekistan, it's very Gnostic because there's so much humor in it. There's so much mockery of what's fucked up in the world. That is so Gnostic.
Well, one of the things that Keck stands for is LOL.
Yes.
Itself in another language. In Orcish, actually.
All right.
Oh, that was the most amazing piss.
What was amazing?
The piss I just took.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know why. Why do people want more stuff when they have it all? This is a question that was posed to me.
One thing, the emptiness and new stuff allows you to brag, or at least show and like, oh, look what I got. I mean, again, this is all because we don't have that self-validation that comes with knowing ourselves. We're always looking for some kind of outside validation.
All right, that is very true. Radagast just said that it's because he always needs something new to show off, needs outside validation for his life, and that he's growing, and that's his way of showing it. That's one answer. It's better than mine.
It's like, why do you need a car to be able to drive hundreds of miles?
I don't know the person, but, picture a musician who's getting famous or gotten famous, and they, it's not enough for them. They need more and more because they don't think they're good enough yet, or what drives that.
Well, they have to drive their creativity somehow.
They do have to drive their creativity somehow, but that negativeness is not the way to do it.
The mind virus. I mean, again, the mind virus. The modern cosmology is we are shit. We're lucky that we're allowed to live. Is the narrative out of that?
We're lucky we even.
Always gonna feel inadequate in one way or another. It's always gonna be a fucking struggle being an artist.
Okay. I forgot. No, it's okay. I just forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. It's cool. It's my roommate.
Well, I'm talking about that need for constant validation because the mind virus, the kind of God concept of Yaldabaoth is that you suck. You suck.
And you need me.
Yeah. Have you discovered Miguel Connor?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love when he calls it Yaldabaoth and his angelic mafia.
That's what it is. And then that all ties into like Chris. You ever read Chris Knowles stuff, like the Lucifer technologies?
No.
That's all interesting stuff too.
Well, but when you finally tie into it and you realize that we have whole groups of people who are into Archangel Michael. Who is this critter? Who is this?
He's an AI. He's an AI.
He's a capo. He's a capo.
Oh, okay, wait. Now we need to break this up into the Galactic Federation, Ascended Masters, and those angels. Those aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Versus say the goetic angelics that you can summon when you're doing that kind of shit.
Well, even Enochian magic. I remember one time I was talking with Dan Winter because I've had him on some of my Mystic View shows. You know who Dan Winter is?
Yes.
Okay, so I remember telling him how. There was two cases when I was working at Omega, and we had Irene, and then we had Sandy headed for us. So I had to have a talk with the Storm. And I remember the funny thing about Irene is I told everybody, I said, we're going to be fine. I'm telling you, we're going to be fine here at Omega. We lost power for about half an hour. Around us, complete devastation. People without power for 2 weeks. Irene wrecked the joint. It was nothing but a heavy rain and not even high winds at Omega. So I remember I recounted that to Dan, and he says, "Oh, I hope you did proper protection." I said, any magic that you need to protect yourself from, is better not done. I mean,
I agree. I have problems with it.
The Enochian magic, you have to do certain things, or I mean, if you have to protect yourself that much, what are we doing? Calling lions out of their cages?
You're calling spirits.
Well, I know, but I'm talking about like the insanity of calling a spirit you need to protect yourself from.
Makes sense to me.
It just tells me it's part of the AI infection.
Oh, that's I mean, again, but it's a thing. These are things we don't want to invoke. Because we are part of
I think
creation.
we have dominion over these things.
Yeah, well, that's why working with the elementals, these are our buddies.
We do, right. And I believe that Archangel Michael is one of those elementals. He's the angel of the north. Hug time.
No, but he's angel.
Everything's gonna be fine.
They put him there.
The archons?
Yeah.
So, see, this is something I've always been wondering. And do you know who Jake Stratton Kent is?
No.
He writes about magic a lot. He's a good writer. He's a real interesting interview too. Anyway, I heard him say that he felt that the spirits are the stars.
Okay.
You know,
That's
which
nice.
is an interesting concept. So that would mean that the archons put the stars there too. If that line of thinking,
based on his take. I mean, again, I'm open to anybody, but then I process through myself, and whether or not I can kind of,
if it resonates, I understand.
Live with it, actually kind of almost appropriate it, like, you know, go into one of my states and kind of see if I can get there, and what does it feel like when I get there? Does
it fit into your model?
Well, does it feel right?
Yeah, demons can be very protective. That is true, esoteric. It depends on your relationship with them. And we're so entertaining. Great. I think also the way you approach a spirit dictates how it will respond to you. If you are terrified by demons, you know, and the Satan-looking guy shows up and you scream, he's just going to feed off of you. He's not going to help you or protect you or anything. He's going to terrorize you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the nature of the infection. We created them. We created the AI. Answering chat question. Why don't you come on the chat and ask questions in real time? I give a new link like 20 times. She's not shy. I don't know. She just doesn't want to come on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the other thing we're lost in is in our various terms and the meanings we assign to them. That's a little Tower of Babelish.
What is?
The fact that we have terms that have different meanings, like, because we're pulling from a lot of different things. We don't have our ways. We don't have our system that we used to have. So we're now bringing in all kinds of pieces, trying to fit them in. We have terms that don't always mean the same to each other. And so it's kind of a little bit like a confusion of language. We'll get it worked out.
Totally agree. But
we're in the process of cleaning it up, I believe.
Go on.
To move forward, we have to be able to know that when we communicate, we're communicating in a similar enough to be able to organize together. Right now, we're very, like I said, it's really like the Tower of Babel, and that was done, just like Tower of Babel was done. I mean, that story is one of Joseph Farrell's favorite stories, and one of the things that helped him break with that, where he's going, and also of course, it's they, but like, of all the different sins man could create, could do, one of the sins was there was no prohibition against building high buildings. And so according to their narrative, it's like the building was like, oh my God, they're going to come up here and be like us. Again, it was jealousy. It's like we must hold them down. So we have to confuse their language or they'll be like us. So you always see this jealousy of who we are and how much we're trying to be held down.
I see that as a reflection of an insecurity to some degree. I mean, if you want to look at it in that perspective, that our reality is also a reflection of what's going on inside of us, that's also kind of a Gnostic thought, as above, so below, as within, as without, all that too. That's interesting. I'm actually looking for a Chinese proverb which fit right into what you were saying.
Oh, please look for it. Oh, you know what? I didn't. I remember I started a thing yesterday. The Nag Hammadi, that John Lash said it himself. The Nag Hammadi texts are written at a really traumatic time for the Gnostics. There was like in other words, it wasn't the traditions that were there before things started happening. That were, I mean, from the best way of kind of saying it was like when the Israelis or the Hebrews contracted with Yaldabaoth. And they knew. I mean, before they contracted, he was quarantined. When the contract formed, and then they saw the way that these peoples behaved, they were like not going to marry outside. They were going to stay there. So from the Gnostic perspective, even though the infection was on the earth, it was still quarantined in a way because of the behaviors of the tribes that had adopted that. They got concerned when they started seeing whatever the mythos that formed around this Jesus or Christ character. And that it was basically kind of a Gnostic way of deliverance and more of a Sophianic message. And when they saw that he was starting to get appropriated by Rome, and Rome was already playing with the archontic infection of what was supposedly quarantine. Basically, when we see the Nag Hammadi text, we're seeing a lot of reaction to the fact that this quarantine, this safeness of the quarantine within a certain group of tribes was now about to go worldwide, and they were right.
Yeah, well, it's been worldwide.
And so that's what traumatized them so much, because it had been contained, and this is why at that point you started hearing about Gnostics not wanting no part of our world. But if you could get back to the text that they burned, you would hear none of that, because the world hadn't become archontically infected yet. It was the archontically infected world they wanted off of, not the world that they had been on for tens of thousands of years.
So I actually am of the opinion that a lot of what was allegedly burned in Alexandria is in the Vatican basement.
I tend to agree with you.
I can't believe they would destroy that.
Or in the Hagia Sophia.
True. Or somewhere else. I don't know.
This is now a mosque.
The Arabs, who was it? The Moors in Spain, they saved a lot of stuff too. If they hadn't left before the Christians came, we would have lost some knowledge there.
Yeah. Yep.
John Lash link. No, we have him. We're good on the John Lash links. Thanks.
Yeah, the interesting thing, John Lash disappeared for a year, and when he came back, he had the new thing on his website called Mythophrenia. And I thought it was really interesting he chose that word, because John, I did the whole Gaian navigation experiment for years with John. He put out weekly tapes. I listened to every single one. It was lovely. It was great. Then he disappeared, and he kind of, he was in Spain. He got some people come, so he kind of has like a little commune there. Probably, maybe a little, I don't want to use any words here. I hope everybody's picking up where I'm going. But anyway, when he reemerged with this mythophrenia, I realized that he had been he had become mythophrenic. And so therefore he wasn't quite right. He's not, he's not the John Lash that I listened to for years on every interview and his Gaian navigation experiment. And so of course I have compassion for him. And the body of work he gave us before he went mythophrenic, to me, is the work that is very valuable. What he's putting out currently.
Sorry, define mythophrenic.
Well, think of schizophrenic. Okay.
Okay, so frenetic about that.
About the mythos. You kind of so insert. To me, what you do is, at this point, you kind of almost leave the actual psychological reality you exist in and go enter that mythic world. It's like people who almost live in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, or somebody who's so with the Lord of the Rings that they're living in Middle Earth. That kind of.
How do you not see that as not mind control? How do you? Is that right? That's mind control.
Well, that's what I'm actually saying that, and I'm trying because we're public. I don't want to speak poorly of John Lash.
No, I don't know who he is, and I've not seen any of his work, unless he's the alien dude that died last year, John Allen Lash. No. He's
putting, actually, one of his YouTube site now is the Mandela Effect Decoded.
Oh God. The Mandela Effect is crazy, because if it's true, we can't prove it. And if it's false, we can't prove it. So it's like, why bother?
His understanding, and which I'm, Again, he's different. I don't really go because I don't want to confuse anybody. Because sometimes when you put out ideas and certain people go, "Oh, I want to know more about that." Please, I didn't bring it up to know more about it.
I'll put out crazy ideas. I don't give a shit. I think it's timelines merging, alternate timelines that are merging together and bringing aspects in, or that we all create local reality bubbles around us, and at some point they become too large and have to coalesce. So similar reality bubbles will coalesce into one larger one to fit the paradigm or whatever. However, that balance is it's a binary tree. It's a balanced binary tree of local reality bubbles. So you've got this giant tree that needs to stay balanced. So if there's too many people believing, this is what happened to me, the word dilemma, it changed spellings on me. Okay, I was taught how to spell it D-I-L-E-M-N-A.
Yeah,
okay? It's not the word anymore. It's double M-A. Okay, but I think this is CW touched on this with the 100th monkey syndrome, that you've got enough people who misspell it, which I blame Google for this because they don't have it in their dictionary.
I blame schools too. They don't correct spelling anymore.
True. So you've got so many people misspelling it because they spell it phonetically. And hey, how you doing? And
hi.
Hello.
Hello.
At some point that critical mass says, okay, well, this is the way it is from now on because I can't keep track of two things anymore. It's too detailed. So the reality bubbles coalesce into a larger one and the tree becomes more balanced. That's how I view it. So if you want to talk crazy, there it is.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty good and crazy.
So Sass wanted to talk about Goetia and Archangel Michael and demons.
My experience, I've had about. Yeah, I'm gonna force you all to be bisexual.
Oh, we're live. Okay, if we were not live, I would say something.
Go ahead. What you got? You said, oh, you had something to tell. I gotta read back in the chat now.
Yeah, I have to say I have about 4 to 5 years experience with Goetia, and I've honestly never been so protected from things.
Right, that actually makes sense to me.
Yeah, honestly, like, I don't even curse people, and people just get cursed if they're really hurtful to me. And it's so funny. Like, this is really ironic. Like, it's always an ironic thing. Like, whenever I was first as an entrepreneur, I was first doing nannying because I was still a teen. And this guy laughed at me because he found out I was watching the grandchildren of somebody with cervical cancer. And he laughed, and I was really angry by that. And so I did this chant from this pentacle of King Solomon, the second pentacle of Saturn, in my head. And then, the grandmother of those kids dies, so it's really sad. But, later his mother is diagnosed with the same type of cancer. And then a year later, his father also dies of cancer. And a lot of things like that happen. It's fucked up, but it's fascinating.
I have a friend of mine who recently died of pancreatic cancer, whose mother then died of it, and another, like his sister, then got it. I wonder who's the pancreatic cancer demon.
I've got this whole theory on the cancer thing. It's pretty crazy. I won't go into it here, but
no, I want to hear it.
Well,
it's your body. It's your body storing bad shit.
Well, it's actually, everybody that has the smallpox vaccine where they scratch your arm. That was developed by a company that has a patent for a drug that gives monkeys a certain type of liver cancer. And they actually derived it from that drug. And supposedly, when you're given that smallpox, you're actually given some of this virus that causes cancer. It was intended to cause cancer in lab animals.
Is it the Nagalase? Is that what it was called?
I don't think so. I can't remember exactly what it was called.
That's a fascinating name, by the way.
I know. Don't even get me started on that.
Anyway, sorry about the tangent.
No, this is a show about crazy shit. So
we're doing tangential tonight.
All the other shows are boring. There's no good things to watch on YouTube. They just
this is actually very interesting. I was really blown away by all the content. I've seen so far. It's really good.
Well, thanks. I find that a lot of what's going on are giant echo chambers, and I've been following this flat Earth groups on YouTube and being in their hangouts and stuff, and they have, if you've noticed recently, if you look, there's tons of flat Earth live hangouts going on like 24/7 now.
Wow.
And they don't really talk about anything. They just like talk. I'm not putting them down in any way. I like what they're doing, but you know, and even there, that's a whole divided group. There, you've got the people who are the domers, the non-domers, the concave Earth, the non-concave Earth, the flat Earth, the biblical flat Earth, the non-biblical flat Earth. You know, it's like, oh my God, you people just get together. And then this new guy just showed up who his theory is that we're on an infinite plane, and his channel is called the Infinite Plane Society, and he's advocating physical activities, physical action to go out and make people aware of this, and which I agree with. And he actually went out to a local Earth Day celebration, and during the middle of a speech was walking around with a sign and a megaphone going, "Global warming's a lie, your children are being indoctrinated, the Earth is flat." In between the audience, yeah, it's on YouTube, I'll send you a link, in between the audience and the speaker, and it was totally hilarious. But he's got like 6,000 subscribers now too.
Goodness.
So he's now under attack by everyone calling him the I actually said it the other night, and he made, oh, it was the it says, "Trust me, I'm an Illuminati shape-shifting reptilian crypto Jew Jesuit." Something that's really funny. It's an orange shirt, 33rd degree Freemason Illuminati.
That is pure kick.
Yeah, it is.
It's hilarious. It is. It's great, and I like that attitude. And he's also trying to keep, and he's very strong on. Okay, so his big thing is that heliocentrism is the religion of the Vatican. So that's his whole kind of theory there.
Why is it that when Copernicus and Galileo first came up with it, they wanted to kill them?
It's a story we've been told.
I have a question though, like why would it be so detrimental to believe that the Earth was round? Like, why is that bad?
It's not bad. See, this is where the schism occurs, because it's not bad if it's round. It's bad if it's not round and we're being lied to. And it's bad if it's round to the Bible thumpers because it doesn't fit the Bible that they cling to. So
I had a friend of mine who was trying to tell me, you know, how stupid I was for not thinking the Earth was flat. And I said, here's how it boils down. You and I, let's say he's a musician. I said, you and I want to be in a band. Does it matter what shape the Earth is? Oh, but they lied to us. I want to play music with you. I don't give a shit. I mean, everything I want. If I want to go meet you at a bar and a beer, does it make a difference what shape the Earth is in?
Yeah, it has very little.
At the same place, if we can find our way to coordinate and meet, well, does it really make a difference? Oh, but they lied to us. So what? Get on with your life already. This is like a fucking daddy issue. Oh, buddy, I can't. It's just so childish. And to me, in many ways, the flat Earth is almost like the Protestants. You know what I mean? What did they do? Or they wanted to break away from Rome, and then they broke into 10,000 pieces. Now, I'm not saying that was a bad thing, but they didn't accomplish. What did they do? They wanted to make a break from the big baddie, and they couldn't even hold their own shit together. What did they do? They just fractured, and they're fracturing to this day.
It's true.
So that's the same thing's happening in the flat Earth community. Like you just said, the domes, the this, blah, blah, blah. Because the reason they're going into all this nuance is because none of it fucking matters.
Right, and that's another thing I've discovered along my journey, is that almost every rabbit hole ends in a paradox, which is another glitch in the matrix for me. That's significant. If I go down a rabbit hole, it's paradoxical. Okay, that's and in my game view of the universe, right? That's a side quest. Okay, it's not part of the main quest. I got distracted in the side quest. It became paradoxical. There was no chest. There was no loot there. Okay.
I mean, even with planes, they talk about planes. Once again, if I get on a plane and I'm supposed to end up somewhere, and provided there's no other things, I end up there. That's all I care about. I don't care whether I'm flying over flat or round. I don't, because I took my spirit and put it in a body to be on this existence in this world, you know, on Sophia, on Gaia. Whether Gaia is round or flat, I don't care. I came here to do what I'm trying to do in this whole movement and get back to our consciousness, get back to our empowerment, start removing the mind infections, and we can remove the mind infection. And some people go, oh, the shape of the earth is mind. Once again, we can worry about that once we actually have access to shit that we could prove it with. Right now, we can't get there. So let's just do what we can do.
And we don't know that the mind, in fact, we don't know that the parasite isn't altering our viewpoint of reality. So we can't. This is what I'm finding now is happening, that the people who've come up with proof that it's flat, people are coming up with proof that it's a globe now. So it can't be both. So
take a picture of it where you live. Get on a plane.
You forgot the statement I just said. It's a paradox now. Guess what? It's a side quest. So I don't know. It's weird. Here, you want me to play this video? It's kind of funny.
Sure.
All right. Here it is. Right here. Get the crazy view. Crazy view. Fuck, where is it? Here it is. All right. Can we see?
Yes. Lovely.
Wow, he's like on center stage. Flat Earth. I love it.
They're also part of a much larger natural system. Volcanic vents might have hosted the first life on Earth.
Well, I'm glad they have their own little get-togethers and little shit fights and stuff. And to me, that's like a way of containing this. Where they feel like that they're validated. And
you know what I found most interesting about that clip is that nobody moved while he was saying global warming is a hoax. But the minute he said flat Earth, someone ran up and covered that sign.
Really?
Yeah, totally triggered on that. And that's very interesting to me, why that would happen.
And it's also kind of interesting, I guess, are flat Earth people the ones who say there's no global, because I don't believe in it. I mean, the whole global warming thing, please.
Yeah, no, it's nonsense.
But I mean, that's one of their tenets of their religion, is that the global warming's fake.
Actually, this guy tells people that if you believe the Earth is flat, then if you believe global warming, then they're counterintuitive.
Of course, right? You can't have global warming on a flat, right? It could be plate warming, but it can't be global warming.
It's not flat. It's a hologram. It doesn't matter. It's like, you ever play World of Warcraft or any kind of game where you travel to different realms?
No.
You know, you have to go through a portal. You don't drive there or fly there. You have to go somewhere, and then you get a different view of everything. And that's kind of what I think here is too.
Well,
but I don't know.
I've made 2 videos to explain how the hologram works. So I mean, I totally believe we live in a hologram, but to me, hologram is one of the ways that it's organic. In other words, you have an observer that wants something, and in certain ways, Sophia acts as a static observer at some level, or maybe the pleroma, but they hold the concept so that the matter is there. So it is a hologram at its thing, but the hologram is what is attracting the quantum particles to make reality.
Any advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Arthur C. Clarke said it like 40 years, 50 years ago.
So for me, the organic hologram is part of how the universe works.
The universe is that. The universe is the computer that's running the hologram. But
then there's also this hacking from this other aspect.
Yep, absolutely. We are on the same page there. And they're in the 13th dimension, from my information.
Okay. I just know they're not here. Once again, whether it's 4, you know what I mean?
It's a plasma. It's like a scalar energy type of thing, a plasma being.
Yeah, I get uncomfortable with the plasma stuff, only because to me, plasma plasma was the form that Sophia arrived. I mean, plasma is part of the. Well,
then it would make sense that she birthed the plasma being.
That what?
That she birthed a plasma being.
You're absolutely, that's right. That makes a lot of sense. You're right. But
now, what do you? Can you go into plasma a little more? Because when I hear plasma, I think
plasma
molecules in an excited state.
It's an excited state of matter. It's a gas. It's not a gas.
That's one form. It's one form of plasma. Plasma is just like kind of anything that's not fire, water, earth, or air.
You got blood plasma. You got
not blood
plasma.
We're talking about electrical plasma.
Plasma rifles.
This is great. No, there's a tie-in here. What blood plasma is the very matrix that all the platelets and color. I mean, what's plasma? It's clear fluid. And it is made blood by what is added to that medium. So in many ways, plasma is the medium. I mean, to me, like the 99% dark matter is plasma. Okay, but it's what we're talking about is a medium, a super fine, very ethereal medium. But in
the interstellar medium,
the universal medium.
Like what space is really made of?
Like if you look out, when you look at a deep stowed Hubble telegraph and things, the galaxies just seem to be floating there. Well, think of an ocean and like different things floating in the ocean.
Exactly.
You know, it's in a medium.
Yeah, it's probably liquid something.
Well, I'm quite sure it has liquid-like properties, but being as liquid is a form of matter. But I mean, it mimics too. So that's why I like to use water and ocean as kind of like, you know, the ocean is its own world with its own medium that they interact with. We kind of interact in an air medium. They interact in a water medium. Right. And I believe that the universe, the galaxies exist in this dark matter plasma medium.
Yeah, it's probably frictionless, super cooled kind of thing. I've heard actually.
You can get plasma from friction. I know that.
I don't think this is a.
That's because you get fire to jump up to its next level. What you do is if you could excite fire enough, it'll jump up to the ether. And the lowest form of plasma, which we see, is that hot plasma.
That sounds like a good way to charge a sigil.
If you take a bullet and you send it down a barrel that's too small by a pretty good amount, the copper that coats the bullet will turn into a plasma.
That makes sense.
Coat the entire inside of the barrel with copper.
Sure. Makes total sense. I mean, science was actually, I mean, when I was very big into biology, I love science. But because I'm a mystic, I do different things with the data. So I like science for their data. You know, and does not all the data is right, but a lot of times they're pretty good in data. I think where science really sucks is interpreting the data, because they're not in their spirit enough. They can't interpret the data properly. They're doing it through this very left brain analytical limited way.
But there's also other constraints there that it's dangerous for some to think outside the box or to go against the paradigm or whatever the accepted. You know,
they're
very materialist. It's all materialism right now, and they cannot get away from that, and that's a problem.
Well, that's what a thought crime. And a thought crime is part of the mind virus, because thought crimes mean we're not free.
Are you guys familiar with the YouTuber In Mendham?
No.
He also has another channel called Draft Science.
No.
Where he talks about his alternate theory of physics, and it goes against like Einsteinian and quantum mechanics. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think there are very large flaws in that, and that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that there's some kind of electromagnetic anti-gravitic mechanism that's available that our ancestors had at some point that has been obfuscated from science. You know, if you look at
he contends that ever since the theory of relativity, our heads of science have just been going down the wrong road.
Exactly. Or part of it's been hidden by the groups that I'll tell you who talks about this. God, what's his name? I think it might be Walter Bosley. If you know,
I love him. He is awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome, and he's got a story about a group called NIMSA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Right. So, what are their ships running on? It's not, right, but that's not in our physics definition, and it's non-materialist. So science won't ever look at that, and that I see as a giant problem right now, because a lot of things are pointing away from materialistic science, and they're stuck. And this is another glitch in the system, if you want to look at it that way too. They're in a groove in a record they can't get out of.
To me, the reason I liked really hearing about NIMSA, because I realized that was like the last portion of the survivor group with their high sciences that still want to share it with humanity. I mean, that's why people saw them. They were actually trying to give it to humanity. They weren't hiding it.
That was the 1901, I think.
Yeah, and to me, that is the last of the survivors where they are actually trying to benefit humanity and share all the good things with them. And I think they ran afoul of, because this is, when all the fuckery, I mean, 12 years later, we have the Fed already.
Right.
So to me, they are the last of the survivor, the beneficent people who, are fed, by kind of like one of sharing. They were sharers and they weren't hoarders. And to me, and then after them, now when they invented it themselves, it wasn't. And so when they kind of
rediscovered it,
so they might have rediscovered it, but I think it was part of the knowledge base that was held onto. But as the parasites were destroying the people, they often couldn't handle the technology. And so now, and I think that's why when they developed, that's why they had to actually get a hold of the whatever happened at Roswell and back engineer it, because the people who did it already in 1901 were no longer on the scene for whatever reason, and maybe they formed their own breakaway civilization.
I actually heard someone just talking about this, that it may have been, this person asserts that it was a I'm confusing two stories. One story was it was a Japanese craft, and they were using
Douglas Dietrich.
Yeah, that's who it was. That they were using like amputees and people who were fucked up. They would throw into these crafts to run around as a test, because they weren't productive members of society. Very communist kind of thing. The other story was that it was German craft. But I know. I'm sorry. The technology was from some craft they actually dug up. They found underground somewhere, and this was in the Middle East. And that's, there's one narrative out there that all the wars in the Middle East are over technology that's hidden beneath the ground. So one thing that attests to that is the raiding of like the Baghdad Museum right after we went in.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things. Apparently it wasn't us. It wasn't Americans that did it. They were just guys dressed as Americans, allegedly. But I just want to throw in there what Gordon White calls that group of people. He calls them the evil Hogwarts, which I really love.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask Sass before I forgot. Before you started ritual magic, ceremonial ritual magic, were you in any way psychic? Could you see spirits? What's your story? You're muted. Unmute. Please.
I don't remember muting. Did you mute me?
I did, and I told you in chat.
You did? I don't see the chat. What was the question again?
Before you started dabbling in ritual ceremonial magic, did you see spirits? Were you psychic, or were you psionically active?
I was like, I would see things in my head, like my mind's eye, and I thought it was just my imagination.
Like remote viewing things, or just like people?
No, like spiritual bodies, like gods and goddesses. And I thought it was in my head, but I would research and find out that having the same experiences as me. And like the things I would find out about them, like I would read about. So I would find out about it and then read about it, which was, spooky. And then I started being able to see the future and having prophecies when I was a teenager. And then I had this like big spiritual experience when I was 17, which, really changed my perception, because I was an atheist, even though I like perceived things. But at the same time, I also practiced my own form of magic, even though I never studied magic. But then later I found out it was magic I was doing, and I didn't even know it. Like I would try to do like programming my own mind with symbols. you know, and
I did the
focusing
same
on
thing.
colors.
I did the exact same
Yeah.
thing with numbers,
Yeah.
patterns, all kinds of stuff.
So yeah, and eventually I got into it, and I've been regularly practicing, like all the time for like 5 years. It's really fun.
No, it's cool. I've been studying it. I've been studying the PGM. I've been reading a lot of Stephen Skinner works, and I'm about ready to dab my toe into the pool. It's cool.
Oh, really?
That's why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, that's what I was guessing. Okay. Well, I guess I could teach you how to do it in a way to where you don't have to worship any gods or goddesses, because I actually use like a little bit of a more complex form of symbolism. I use planetaries like as symbols, like Mars for assertion, the moon for reflection. If you would want to do a wealth spell, you could do like Jupiter or the sun, or even Saturn. I like to use Saturn for that.
So you basically use the archetypes, the astrological archetypes,
Yeah.
zodiacal archetypes of the luminaries. I gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah. Did you do any kind of initiation of the spheres?
Yes, I did. I got self-initiated in Saturn, and that's why I'm so protected. And anybody who fucks with me, like, I have to be innocent because Saturn rules over karma. So I have to be innocent. If I'm doing bad shit, I'll obviously get spanked. But I'm mostly a good person anyways. But anybody who fucks with me, like, shit that happens to them that has to do with how they did something to me or other people.
It's a karmic reflection.
Yeah, definitely. And I used to not believe in karma. I used to not want to curse people or anything like that. Nothing. I was never like that. I only cared about knowledge.
Yeah, me too. Until
yeah. Oh, it's okay. I got into Saturn because one of the deities that used to always tell me what to research and stuff, actually the Egyptian god Thoth, he got me into that current because I literally do believe that we all have some sort of spiritual bloodline, and he gave me this vision of where some of my astral energy, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, spiritual energy comes from, like from what primordial patriarch. And
it's your celestial DNA, by the way.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. And I was telling that vision to somebody who knew me, who was really skeptical. He was spiritual, but he was super skeptical, you know, which is healthy. And I was telling him about the vision, and he freaked the fuck out because he had another friend who I didn't know, who worked with Thoth, who had the same exact vision. The same exact vision I did.
See, now I take that as more proof of it's a program.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. To me, I think that's fascinating, and I like to really, I mean, that just adds to the critical thinking.
I want to add to that. I don't think that's a bad thing in any way, or good. It's neither. It is what it is.
Right.
But for me to help conceptualize how to work with spirits, which is the whole point of PGM and Goetia, I can conceptualize them as programs or apps in my toolbox, and as long as they're set up the right way, things work well.
Yeah,
it's
I think
more
you're
complex. I've simplified it, but yeah, you get the idea.
And the other thing about spirits, deities, whatever you're working with, is that not only do you influence, they influence you and you influence them. Like, whether it's good or bad. Like, if you think about this place in Japan called the suicide forest, a lot of people go there to commit suicide, and because that energy vortex is there, it attracts more people to commit suicide there. So much that people have signs put up, like with suicide hotline numbers. So that's a negative aspect of it. But you know, when you work with different archetypes, spiritual archetypes, they can influence you in positive ways. Like some women will work with Lilith to be more assertive if they're too docile, or if they're too demure. If people want a more warrior aspect, to work with gods like that because they influence them. And that's the purpose of why people start relationships.
It's almost even like backfilling your personality with aspects you lack.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, they teach.
But it's see the other thing that's really in my mind about it, because I've bought spirited items. That's how I acquired my spirits. Because I decided that this should be an easy way to get into magic. I'll just buy magic shit. So
you can create your own shit though.
But I know now that I know that now, but this was 2 years ago. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. I'm sorry. It's late. It's 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about spirit objects.
No, what's the last thing you said? I'll think of it. I find it all very fascinating. I find the spirit world fascinating.
Yeah.
I really want to know. I want to know more about it, and I think the only way I can know more about it is to go to the source and find out. But I don't know how much information they'll give me. And by the way, this is another thing, just a data point that I want to say. It was funny. I had unsolicited, a second psychic told me that there was a guy hanging around me.
Oh,
so
did
not
you
a
ask
psychic.
her about him?
Yes, it's not a psychic I went to. It was like my daughter was seeing a psychic, and she called me and said, "Do you know anyone named David?" And then 2 nights ago, another psychic told me the same thing. So I'm like, whoa. So that's cool. He's a biker, badass. Kicks my ass, apparently, to do shit.
Well, that's good. That's at least. But oh my gosh, that guy is sleeping.
It's DJ. It's Dave. He does this sometimes. He falls asleep and snores.
I haven't fallen asleep.
No, not you. Dave fell asleep.
Oh.
So you just mute him.
I'm getting a nosh.
Yeah, he'll wake up.
Wait.
We've done
Well, yeah, like
8 or 9 hour hangouts where he dozes off for a while. Takes a little nap.
Well, with spiritual objects, you could create your own spiritual objects with intent, visualization. You can use any type of energy you want. People and some people, modern Satanists and stuff, they like to use sexual energy. I don't like to. I just use my mind. I'm already super creative. But something as simple as, like, you could get, like, for a deity, you could get something as simple as this. It's just a little wee statue. And by the symbolism, it would be Archangel Gabriel, because Gabriel is for creative and arts. He has a book. And his, astrologically, ruled by the moons, and he has silver wings. You know, like, because this could be Gabriel, and I could put Gabriel's energy in here and try to use it as a.
I get you.
And
all those things all resonate with the frequencies of the archetype.
Yeah.
Which, that's another thing I've been thinking about lately, is that
sympathetic magic.
Yeah, and also communicating with deities through objects is sort of like having a Skype call, like using a black mirror and channeling them. Like, some people say that some people say that you see them. I don't really see them with my physical eyes. I just automatically am empathetic with them and know what they're saying, and I know who's here.
You can feel their energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot again. I was going to write it down. I was going to tell you about a really good podcast I found called Charm the Water.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Guy named Aaron David. He initiated into Venus.
Oh,
Had a hell of an experience that he's documented. It's pretty interesting.
That's so cool. I wonder what that's like.
He woke up. He had like 6 dreams within a dream, kind of thing experience, and in one of them he woke up, went into his bathroom, brushed his teeth, went into the kitchen, and his mom was there, and she turned around and I don't want to fuck the story up, but she either had a goat head or the shape of a goat head with a giant void in the face, that told him they are all liars. That was the message.
That's so spooky.
I know. Here's the podcast link in the chat.
Send me on Skype because I'm communicating with my tablet because my laptop makes noises.
Okay, it's cool. Whatever you want.
Send me on Skype. I command it. But yeah, that's so weird how people can be. And sorry, that's so weird how people could be initiated into the spheres. And there's even a book by a modern magician. That's just the name, The Spheres by Rufus Opus.
Yeah, well, Rufus Opus is who he followed, learned up from.
Oh, wow! That makes sense because he's modern, so he's like has his own shit. I really want a copy of his book, but I don't think he has the soft covers anymore. The soft covers were like $30, but the hard covers are like expensive. Sorry.
If you want an e-copy, I might have one.
Oh, nice.
I need to Skype me your emails. I'm going to share something with you.
I will.
I have a whole.
Can't you look at my email through my profile on Skype though? Because John was able to see it.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a Skype dude.
Oh, I guess you can click on my profile.
Yeah,
It'll have my email.
I see your name.
You found it?
No. I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I could send it to you on Hangouts. You'll get it too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My Hangouts does not. Or I'm sorry, my Skype. I'm on Linux. I don't have like real Skype.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have your. It's got your username, which is your real name, I assume. But that's it. It's like your live ID. It doesn't say anything. Anyway, I'll send it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Radagast, were you interested in that too? Maybe not. Let's see.
What was it?
An occult library.
Oh, sure. I'd certainly like to look at it.
You what?
Yes, is the answer.
All right. It's in our chat. It's a Google Drive share. It's got like, I don't know, 300 books in it.
Mm.
And it gets added to quite a bit. What were you looking for? Rufus Opus. I will put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like, I haven't put it in there yet, but I've got a ton of like old unpublished Aleister Crowley stuff.
Yeah, he has a modern blog, and he's a hermetic, but he does do stuff with goetic types.
How
he
about
talks about his experiences.
I haven't checked him out. I want to. I've been really looking at other people right now. One of them was Ashen Chassam, Frater Ashen Chassam. I know. It's better than what? Frater Topan, right?
Hmm.
He has written 2 books about his experiences. It's like, yeah, Ashen Chasson is his name. I guess here's his Facebook link. He's got a book called like Gateways Through Lights and Shadow or something. It's very close to that. Yeah, Gateways Through Light and Shadow, which is supposed to be really good. I'm going to try and get a copy of that. Anyway, he's selling all of his ritual items, which are really amazing. If you got some money or you want to do a wealth spell.
So, what makes you want to get into magic?
The real reason?
Mm-hmm. Or it could be
because the real reason is because I am of the opinion it's being used against me, and I want to fight back with it.
Hmm. All right.
Sorry,
think if
impose yourself or something, or
what
understand it.
do what?
Do you want to learn it to like, so you can understand it and be able to defend yourself?
Yes, and to help people, help other people who can't defend themselves.
That makes sense.
Maybe not as much, but you know, and help myself along the way because it's also spiritual path of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, with me, I don't even have a named religion. I just do shit. You can do whatever you want. That's the wonderful part.
That's good.
I'm not religious. I am post-theist. That's what I say. I do not believe in any of that nonsense. I never read the Bible or any religious text, so I'm free of that nonsense. And I look at magic as, in my world, in my crazy town world, in this hologram, magic is the help system. It's the computer help system that was built in for us to use that was taken away from us, or we lost the passcodes. So now everyone's made up their own hack to get into the system. And so, you know, you've got Thelema, you've got the Goetia, you've got Chaos Magic, but they're all just really misconstructed original hacks or misconstructed original access programs into this help system that I call it. So that's what I think magic is. And it's just basically a way, since it exists outside of time and space, it can manipulate synchronicities in such a way to make the magic happen. Or even manifest things if there's enough energy. That's my view.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I really have to say, like, whenever I first started really doing it, like, all the time, I got sort of jaded and nihilistic because I was like, I can do a spell and manifest something with a couple of ingredients that cost less than $5. And I can manifest this in less than 2 weeks, and yet people around the world are suffering. What the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? I can manifest something so easy.
There's a couple things there, though. It's you doing it for one, right? So it's you're more powerful than a lot of people. A, B, a lot of people aren't really real people, so they can't ever connect to the magic system, you know. And yeah, I know, I hear you. It's weird. It's true. I've been doing sigil magic for 1.5 years now, and I've had let's say 70-30 success, which is pretty good. The very first sigil I did, was for something wealth related, but not asking for money. Like, you know, just things will be smooth for the next month. And I won 2 contests in the next 2 weeks. You know.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's specific, but not too vague.
Exactly.
Or not too specific, overly specific. Yeah.
It was. I believe the sigil was the way I constructed it was that I would have enough abundance to share. That's how I worded it, and I won 2 contests for vape juice, and I won like 40 bottles of juice, and that's awesome. I gave almost all of them away.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so cool. Yeah.
So that's my theory on magic, and that's why I want to learn it and use it for defense mainly, for fun and profit second.
I also must say that whenever you do good stuff for other people, that shit always comes back to you. And so, like, I find that a lot of other witches, they charge people for work, and it's like, why would you charge somebody for wealth or health if it's gonna come back to you? Like, you're fucked up, dude.
Yeah, my thoughts on charging for that are the same on monetizing my YouTube channel. It's like, I do this for myself and for my own growth and to help others, not to make money, which is a false construct. So
yeah, and they claim that they charge because it takes energy or whatever, but if you work with a lot of deities, you get energy from them for your spells too, so you don't run out. Like, the universe is full of energy. And I understand that, but because I've done magic where it's just myself and I do lose energy, but now with deities, it's just so ridiculous. I think it's just an excuse.
Possibly, but once it's a belief system, it's true. See, that's the thing. Once they believe it's true, it's true.
Like
And that was the other point to why your magic is so strong, because you believe it's true. You know it's true. It's not just a belief.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. A belief system. Who said Crow 777? You ever seen that guy?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, his big line is, belief is the enemy of knowing. It's a good line.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and in that, you differ from the other people who can buy those trinkets for $2 and do the same ritual and light that candle.
Yes.
So it's
like literally the cost of spells is under $10 all the time. Because this shit is so fucking cheap.
I spent 2 hours with my ex-wife last night at my daughter's graduation. I haven't seen her in like 4 years, 5 years. And of course, she's been getting all the reports from my kids about how crazy I am and all the shit I do. I brought up something about, I don't remember, but it was something non-materialist science. And she's like, I don't believe in that. It's like, okay. And she wouldn't even talk about anything like that. I don't believe in it. I can't see it. I don't believe in anything I can't see, she said.
Mm-hmm.
That is a sad way to go through life.
Yeah.
So I guess she's an atheist?
Oh, absolutely. So I am too. I'm non-monotheist.
Yeah.
I accept the fact that there are things called gods, but I look at them as consciousness units. They're energetic units of consciousness that affect us somehow.
Well, yeah, and another thing that's fascinating is like you could totally look at their aspects as programs. Like that's the way that they're programmed.
Yeah, I said that. They're programs. That's why you ask them what their office is. That defines that type of application. Yeah. You just reminded me of something, and I just forgot it again. Oh, I remember the calendar, the time. This is important. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. If you study the PGM, it's getting light out. That's cool. If you study the PGM, a lot of things, some of it rely on alignments, dates, times, lunar cycles, yada, 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 right?
Uh-huh.
In my crazy town, the zodiacal chart, your birth chart is like your blueprint sorts for what I'm talking about. So you're in the middle, and wherever you are in space-time in the middle, all the energetic bodies that surround you are feeding you a certain percent of energy, right? Yes. And that defines your blueprint for your zodiac sign and your life and all that crap. Yada, yada, yada. Now look at magic. I bet I'm of the opinion that specific alignments of stars, planets, zodiac signs, and whatnot will affect a magical operation more or less, depending on that. Because of those, it's the same energies, though.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why people who practice, like, if they're doing something for wealth, they'll do it on a Thursday because Thursday's ruled by wealth, and they'll do it on a waxing moon or a new moon or full moon. Waning moon is for banishing, waxing moon is for bringing things in. And and the full moon, why it's so important is because they could do either or, and it's supposed to be more powerful because they're supposed to draw energy from that.
Right, because it's fully charged at that point. The further point of that was by altering our calendar in the way it was done by the monks, but first the Romans, then the monks. How did that change our magic system? And did they, is there another way of being a calendar? Is there another calendar that's more accurate for magic? How's that?
I really don't know, honestly, because whether things are aligned or not, you could technically do a good spell for drawing things in on a waning moon. So it really, your intent is what matters, no matter how much they try to change things or throw you off. Ultimately, the power is within you, and if you could visualize that the event is so-and-so, even though it's different, it'll still help your spell work. Like if it's Tuesday, you just imagine that it's Thursday instead, it'll help your spell work. That's what I really believe. I mean, it's all within us, because you would technically be be channeling that energy anyways, even if it wasn't the right day.
Maybe if it's truly all internal, but I'm not 100% on that yet. I'm 50-50. It could be external or internal, or both. You know, it's like the whole UFO thing. Where are they coming from? Is that a consciousness projection, or is it, you know, something else?
Yeah.
Is it something using our? It could be the parasite, you know, manifesting here through us. But the source of that consciousness is where I'm curious if it's internal or external. That's it.
Okay.
Neither here nor there. I don't know.
I mean, we have souls. Maybe our souls are ways that we can absorb that universal energy if we really ponder on it. It's fucking crazy, but whenever I found this statue, I don't even work with Gabriel, but I was in the store and I was passing it, and I was literally like, that is Gabriel. And I was looking at it, and he was pretty much telling me that deities, their energy is everywhere, and they are able to extract information through their own spirituality and their connection to, you know, the universe. And that's how humans are too. That's what he was telling me, that, you know, that's why there's ghosts, and they could deities can appear different places at the same time because they have that connection. I don't know, it's weird. It's hard to explain it.
I could totally understand that they have an anchor in this reality to which they can portal. Is basically what it is. It's an anchor. That's like when if you spirit an item, if you enchant an item and tie, like some of the shit I bought were like rings with jinn attached to them, right?
Yeah.
and that jinn has a way to get back to me via the ring. It's like a beacon for him. And that's how I look at that. Ghosts, I don't know about, but you know, that's also very much true for what do they call it? Residual energies in haunted locations.
Well, yeah, he was explaining to me that whenever we die, whenever we're on the astral plane, we still think, we still dream, we still feel, and that leaves an energetic imprint on the universe, but it leaves it like everywhere. So that's how people, like, say I die here, somebody on the other place of the planet can still channel me on the other place of the planet and get me over there. You know, I don't know, it's just fucking weird.
Well,
even though you would think that if I died here, all my energy would be here, but they would have a way to put me over there. I don't know, it's just the way he explained it to me.
It's all here. It's not anywhere else.
Yeah.
They interlace. So I mean, your energy is everywhere here. All of your past lives, I believe this. All your past lives are happening simultaneously. Nothing.
I've lived like that for years.
Yeah, everything's happening now.
I advocate it because therefore you don't have to deal with past life deaths.
Or past life regression, which is dangerous.
Oh, really? You know, I've never done that. What is your theory on why that's dangerous?
I think it's suggestive. I think it's basically it's hypnosis, right? And when you're in a hypnotic state, you are suggestible. And these researchers, I don't want to name any names, are very suggestive to these people. Look at MUFON. MUFON's even does this, but it's not to that degree. I'll get to that in a second. But these they'll put them under and look, hey, you know, where are you? What planet are you on? You know, they'll lead them to create this story, which then they will believe is true. There are a lot of problems with.
Sorry, I keep interrupting. It's just that I know so much.
I don't care.
These subjects.
I heard a really good interview with a hypnotist about it, and I'll try and find that for you. I think it was on Where Did the Road Go, which again is an awesome podcast.
Well, like, on that matter, my skeptical side is saying that, like, you know, how they get them into that hypnotic state. Like, basically, all those things that they're channeling could also be, like, subconscious mind poop. Like, dribble, like, just random shit.
Yeah. It could be a lot of stuff. It could be residual genetic memory.
Yeah, also that, yeah.
You know, I've always been of the opinion that if there were past lives and you could remember it, it was in your bloodline, in your genetic line. That all that information. Here's another funny data point. So back in October 2015, when I went crazy and bought like $1,000 worth of magic shit, I made it a point not to choose the spirit. I always did a reverse adoption and let the spirit choose me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Because I felt it was unfair of me to request and make requests of something I hadn't met yet. It's like ultra polite. So I did it that way. I got some really interesting shit. I got a Naga King and a Reaper and a bunch of nymphos and a succubus, a bunch of shit. But still, my point to this all is that in my head, I always think of these things as other versions of my genes in a different dimension. That's simultaneous, a past life, a future life, whatever you want to call it. These are projections of my genes in a different set of variables.
Oh wow.
Okay. They might be in a flying place, or they're in a snake land. That's where the Naga comes from. Who knows, but that's how I deal with it.
That's so cool. So, what spiritual benefits were you looking to gain by buying enchanted items? Or what experience or whatever?
Communication. I wanted to talk to him. I wanted some real information, which I don't think I'm going to get.
Too.
I've still yet to communicate with them that I know of. Yes, I've had a ton of synchronicities. Yes, I've had some interesting things happen, but
I'm sorry, that's like also how they communicate. They might affect the way that you think or feel about things. Like some of them might be more emotionally healing, like Sienna Muerte is really emotionally healing. That's just how she affects me. Some are protective, that's just their way of saying like, hey, I'm here. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I've definitely got those messages. And lately things have been kicking up energetically. I think I could feel changes around me. So I don't know what the hell's going on. Something's going on, like everywhere. I think I asked Radagast this before. Like I went out tonight for dinner. I'm like, wow, it just feels so oppressive. I couldn't see any stars. There were no clouds. I saw I saw Jupiter and I think Vega. That's it. I couldn't see anything else. So I sat outside for like 20 minutes and then they all came into view. But before then, it felt very dark and low. The sky felt like it was on top of me. I was getting paranoid being outside. And I wasn't even high or anything.
No.
I mean,
I had so much anxiety. I took Skullcap earlier today. I just had this anxiety in the pit of my stomach.
Yeah, I have that.
So I took Skullcap. It's very good. It's a good Nervine.
I'll have to check that out. I take Xanax.
Oh.
When I'm stressed.
Right.
Like when I have to get on a plane, that's ultra stress. I don't know. I'm getting really tired and it's 6 o'clock.
Okay.
It's been awesome talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to chat anytime about anything.
All right.
All right.
It was good meeting you, Radagast, and Sass, finally.
Yes, good meeting you, Sass.
And Doug, when you wake up and hear this, good night. Or Dave. What's his name, Dave or Doug?
Dave.
Dave. The G throws me off because of Doug. Hey,
Okay, another time, if you ever want to like do something where we talk about magic or whatever, you should have me on if you want to, or we could do it privately, whatever.
Whatever you want. I would love to do a ritual live. I know I saw you doing them and I was jealous because I'm like, I want to do that. I wanted to take mushrooms and be like a live mushroom trip. I thought that would be cool.
Well, I could like teach you, I do it in a way that's like, I don't worship anything. I know how to do it by symbolism in many other ways, like practical magic, basically.
Okay. I will be your tutor.
You're no worshiper of anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
To me, there's love, and that's, and entering into coherence with things and bliss, but no worship.
Only harmony.
Yeah.
Only
In
harmony.
fact, the only sigil I have it up. I have a what's a cork board behind me, and the only sigil I have up there is one for bliss.
Well, yeah, but you could also do a lot of things by your own power and belief, you know.
Oh, I just say no. It's just like, again, I mean, it's for me, the most important energy I would want if I were to, when I decided, let me make a little sigil, bliss was what I want.
That's awesome. Oh. It's very immaterial. Immaterial are just way easier to manifest, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have skills. I know how to hustle up money if I really need to do so. I don't need to magic it. I can just go do it. And because that would be my magic, is, you know, I mean, I know where it is.
Well, yeah, that's still mind over matter.
Everyone is a magician. They just don't realize it. I sent you one of the sigils I did recently.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's in the Hangout. All right, guys. Good talking to you. Have a good night. Thank you for our 4 viewers. You're awesome. I don't even know who it is. Probably Hazel, and who else was in the chat?
Oh, Darth.
But thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Deep and entertaining. All right, guys. Take care. Thanks.
Be well.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.